hide, run and hide. Oh, would that make you run and hide? Don't know what to do anymore. I'm out of options, nothing's working. I'm out of service. Come help me now, I'm fucking nervous. I'm trying but can't scratch the surface. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I'd lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes on and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can we find a single reason not to say goodbye? I don't wanna say anything, cause if I do I might say the wrong words. Oh no. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I'd lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes on and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can we find a single reason not to say goodbye? Oh, if I said what's on my mind, would you stay with me tonight? If I said what's on my mind, would that make you run and hide? Run and hide, run and hide. If I said what's on my mind, would that make you run and hide? Would that make you run and hide? Run and hide, run and hide. Oh, would that make you run and hide? Don't know what to do anymore. I'm out of options, nothing's working. I'm out of service. Come help me now, I'm fucking nervous. I'm trying but can't scratch the surface. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I'd lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes on and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can we find a single reason not to say goodbye? I don't wanna say anything, cause if I do I might say the wrong words. Oh no. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I'd lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes on and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can we find a single reason not to say goodbye? Oh, if I said what's on my mind, would you stay with me tonight? If I said what's on my mind, would that make you run and hide? Run and hide, run and hide. If I said what's on my mind, would that make you run and hide? Would that make you run and hide? Run and hide, run and hide. Oh, would that make you run and hide? Don't know what to do anymore. I'm out of options, nothing's working. I'm out of service. Come help me now, I'm fucking nervous. I'm trying but can't scratch the surface. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I'd lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes on and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can we find a single reason not to say goodbye? I don't wanna say anything, cause if I do I might say the wrong words. Oh no. So keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise.
Now I just want to. Don't get it like that, you know. Mommy and daddy too. Boys are getting too. I'm a little like a lamb. But Louis don't love that, you know. Anywhere they are, they be so much. They don't love them so much. They don't get so much. They be so much, yeah. They be so much. They be so much. They be so much. They be so much, yeah.
DJ Plenty songs.
They be so much. They be so much. They be so much. They be so much, yeah. They be so much. They be so much. They be so much. They be so much, yeah, yeah. Baby Sumami, yeah. Baby Sumami, baby Sumami, baby Sumami, baby Sumami, yeah, yeah. Baby Sumami, baby Sumami, baby Sumami, baby Sumami, yeah. Baby Sumami, baby Sumami, baby Sumami, yeah, yeah. Oh my God, I wish I knew that it was all love mama showed me. Yeah. Oh my God, I feel brand new.
DJ Plenty songs.
Yeah, said they won't drag me, I know. They won't fight me, they know. Go best friend me, the man. Say we can be so sad. Say they won't drag me, I know. They won't fight me, they know. Now I'm gassed up for no reason. Feeling like a newbie. Because my blessings cannot be lost. I am sure this cannot be lost. And we turn water into wine. All of it that be, I know become. My name will never let me before. My great way. See me, I'm fly. Over. Peppy, I'm be dead.
Check.
Check.
Alrighty. Good morning, DataFest Africa. Welcome to day 2. Good morning, guys. How are we?
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Alrighty. Just to ramp up the energy here, we're going to do something. Then we'll introduce ourselves and then we start the event. So anytime I say DataFest, I want you guys to shout Africa. Is that fine? Is that fine? You guys, your energy. DataFest. DataFest.
Africa.
Thank you guys. Clap for you. Clap for yourselves.
Excellent.
All
Good
right.
morning, good morning, good morning. Today is day 2 of DataFest Africa, right? And I'm sure you all are so excited as much as, myself and Anoma, are. So we're going to be your host for today, and we want it to be very interactive. We want today's session to be, just imagine what it's going to look like, right? It's going to be exciting, so much to learn, so much to, have as takeaways. So please make sure that, you open your mind, you pay attention and participate. All right. As way of introduction, my name is Lekon. I'm a data scientist. I work for the MasterCard Foundation. And I have my, friend here, Anoma.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Anoma, and I'm the founder of Women in Data Africa. Nice to meet Nice to meet everyone. So quickly, I want us to fill the seats in front. So if you know you're at the back, please kindly move forward so it's easy for our ushers to navigate people around. So please, if you know you're at the back and there's a seat in front of you, move forward. Let's fill in the seats in front of us. Apart from this first row anyway, and this side. Guys at the back.
No backbenchers.
Please, let's
So
move forward.
please
Let's
move forward.
Thank
So we
you
can
very
do this
much.
together.
DataFest. DataFest. All righty. So the next thing we're going to do quickly is let's look at our neighbors. If you have 2 people beside you, quickly take a selfie with them. Go to Twitter, post that selfie, tag whoever you're with, tag DataFest Africa, and use the hashtag. Let's quickly do that in 2 minutes. There might be gifts, yeah.
Exactly, there might be gifts. So
many
you want to
gifts.
do it really well. So it's like speed dating, right? Speak to somebody beside you or behind you, right? Take a
If
picture with the
there's-
person and then, post it. And our hashtags, we have them, hashtag DataFest Africa 22 and then DFA 22.
If there's nobody beside you, you can come and take a selfie with.
If you want to take something with us,
Right.
please feel free to do that. All right.
2 minutes, guys. I can see some people nod. Guys, take pictures with whoever is beside you, please.
And remember that one of the motifs for this conference is, hey, all right, let's do this. All right, one of the motifs for this conference is to network, right? So as much as possible, Twitter handle.
The Twitter handle is at
Mine.
DataFest
Okay.
Africa.
My Twitter handle is at AkinSunday1. AkinSunday1. Anoma, you want to tell us your Twitter? At AkinSunday1 if you want to tag me, All right. I think we're good on that note. So we're going to move on to, more pictures. I'm seeing different poses of pictures and, amazing. All right, so I was saying that, one of the motives for this conference, right, is for us to network, right, to meet one another. This is the largest gathering, all right. Let's give ourselves a round of applause, really, for being here, being in the largest gathering of data, practitioners, right. It's no be small thing, right. So we're going to move on to the next agenda, which is the keynote speech, all right, keynote speech, and I'm going to introduce Bayo Adekombi, who will be giving us a keynote speech. Olubayo is an award-winning analytics, business, and digital innovation executive. All right, who combines business and technical skills in conceptualizing and implementing business, commercial, and analytics strategy. It combines 22 years of cognate industry experience in advanced analytics, artificial intelligence, digital innovation, strategy, marketing, and data science, serving over 30 markets in Africa. Bayo is an hands-on data scientist who practices as a professional and also supports the development of talent in this space. He is a founder and lead consultant at Data Science Nigeria, which is a non-profit, an organization that has trained over 500,000 students via online and face-to-face channels. He had led the delivery of large-scale AI and data science consulting projects for global multinationals and development agencies. Ladies and gentlemen, today Bayo is going to be delivering a keynote speech on data community in Africa. All right, so please, we're going to be playing a video of him, just, fresh video. All right, so please pay attention. If you have questions, jot it. You might as well be connecting to answer those questions. All right, so media.
Just before media comes up, how many of us here know DSN? Data science. Okay, so Dr. Bayo is the father of DSN.
What does that mean? I use the
founder
power.
and everything.
Great. It's a great
Okay,
pleasure
the founder and
to
everything of
join
DSN.
you this morning
Okay,
at this
great.
very
So,
auspicious
I think we'll
occasion.
be out of your face
the
for a while so we
inaugural
can listen to Dr. Bayo.
DataFest
DataFest.
Africa. First, let me
DataFest.
apologize that I'm not live on
Excellent, thank
site.
you.
I'm out of town, but my heart is with you. I want to congratulate the organizers for this visionary effort. It's a great pleasure to further amplify the need for this data-centric professionals very embrace the opportunities and the possibilities of the fourth industrial revolution. First, let me apologize. Beyond a slogan now, to say that data is not a factor of production, but my heart is important as land, labor, and whatever other factors may be. For this visionary, I strongly believe that we need more sessions like this, and kudos to the organizers for making this happen. I celebrate your good work. I believe that platforms like this will help us to inspire more people to pursue this path. Like the African proverb, one of the popular African proverbs says, if you want to go fast, you go alone. And whatever other want to go far, you go together. I strongly believe and I think the whole essential African spirit of Ubuntu is what is coming to play here. And Ubuntu means I am because you are. You are because I am. So what that means is that when we pursue this, when we connect together, we can leverage each other's advantage, and that can help us individually to drive our path. And of course, with bigger consequence or domino effect on the prosperity of all, and of course the well-being and the welfare of all. As a person, I believe Ubuntu means I am because critical to driving productivity, value creation, when we connect together, the continent, because it's going to address a lot of the structural gaps, help us to explore a lot of homegrown use cases, of course raise more high-earning talent, which translates into a better life for the welfare, and of course the long-term play is gross domestic product, which is critical measure of the total goods and services produced in a nation, value creation. Of course, in doing that, we make our nation better, address a lot of more structural gaps. So this morning, I've been tasked to run a keynote to speak on building the African data ecosystem. And of course, ecosystem is a great word is gross domestic this conference. I'm sure we can all remember our secondary school biology ecosystem. Ecosystem as that make is organic interaction, a lot of interdependence. So this morning I've been tasked about how we amplify the power of the collective, building how the build multiply effect, the shared value in a quantum ecosystem is delivers and have a line for this conference. I'm sure we can all remember, and that's why I'm very, very excited about the essential spirit. So for this session, the way I'm going to run my slide, organic interaction. Maybe I should just go straight to network, show my slide, and then we just take it from there. Great. We build, multiply, effect. In terms of my flow, that's the title, building the African data ecosystem, and of course, how you can connect and that's why I'm very, very excited about the essential spirit. DSN, for this session, Data Scientist Network, which was formerly known Data Science Nigeria. That's DSN_AI network. So let me just go straight into the structure. In terms of my flow, that's so for this conversation, I'll have a short data ecosystem, and then of course I'm going to talk about building the ecosystem starts with me, DSN, and I'm going to share my personal stories. Then I'll talk about some ecosystem trends on the continent, and then I'll talk about what does it take to be that's DSN_AI_network. So let me just go straight into the structure of the conversation. I've done for this conversation, Data Science Nigeria or Data Science. And of course, I'm going to talk about. So let's go straight into the personal story. I believe this is very important, and I'm going to share my personal story. This is a keynote where we're meant to inspire ourselves, motivate ourselves to go further and farther. Then I'm talking about. I'm going to use some key milestones in my own career path to let you know, some critical consideration in building an intentional Data Science Nigeria, which can become an asset to the ecosystem. So let's go straight into personal story. I have different approach to defining who I am, but I like to see myself as a computational social scientist. What does that mean? I use the computational power, whether data science, machine learning, computer vision, geospatial AI, to understand social behavior, whether it's in innovation, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in partnership, or whether in sustainability, which is a new area where I play. How do we use AI to solve social problems? And of course, if I look at my evolution, I think there are about 10 milestones I will speak to. And the reason for this is to inspire you that your data journey must lead to specific impact. So the first, I call it from data to revenue. It's not just enough to be a great data analyst. Wherever you work, it must be established that you're able to use your data to drive revenue. This was my humble self in 2013 when I won a Yellow Manager Award. And what did I do? I built a customer value and risk management framework based on personalized precision algorithm, which led to multi-billion-dollar revenue, and for which I got a due recognition. And then you must turn data to solutions. Data must not just be numbers, whether in images or videos or audios. You must be able to bring them together, organize them in a way that they solve specific problems. And that's what I did in 2014, 2015, when I got my first US patent in data product. And the same also won me top 100 global data innovator in 2020. Then data must also take us to the level of nation building, where we see data as a catalyst for solving social problems. I had the privilege of leading the Nigerian COVID-19 response using mobility data and advanced big analytics to support government intervention. For me, this was quite emotional and fulfilling, working with Nigerian Governors Forum and working with all the 36 states to build vulnerability model across the states to understand the epidemiology in terms of how it's going to move, making real big data work in solving real problems. Of course, this work became a global case study, and GSMA, the Global Association of Telecoms Operators, amplified it for publication by Cambridge. So everything I'm showing you, I'm providing hyperlinks. So when you get a slide, there are hyperlinks down so that you can click it. We're in the age of Google, you can Google everything. And of course, one moment that is also very important for me is from data to AI for social good. Turning data into something that can be of benefit to everyone, particularly those that may not have advantage. And I was able to achieve this in 2020 through the work we did at DSN, working with Mastercard Foundation during COVID to build a adaptive learning platform with robust recommendation engine that was able to deliver learning via SMS and low internet for 2G feature phones for 8 million students. For me, this was a very impactful transformation that was using response modeling, profiling, engagement dynamics, all on SMS, piped into a very robust AI engine to deliver learning. This won us UNESCO Top 100 AI Products of 2021. You can Google that. We're very proud of this. And of course, from data to global recognition, I've been able to present the work we do in Nigeria, Africa, at the highest AI conferences, the World AI, New Reefs. These are the two ISAI conferences or data conferences in the world, letting the world know what we do in this part of the world is very important for credibility. And for us, it opens opportunity for several students from Nigeria to begin to get all the links and all the opportunities they need. And of course, it has also led to my award, from Data to Impact Award. It was a great privilege to be recognized by the Africa foremost learning AI community, that's Deep Learning Indaba 2019, as the most influential AI expert on the continent. It was quite humbling. And of course, this also comes with responsibility to do more. So what are the key conclusions of my part one? High impact career path with distinct milestones is not just coding, writing statistics, impact. And your career must be characterized by specific interventions of impact that demonstrate to your employer or demonstrate to yourself or to the community that you are adding a value that is improving the welfare of all. Own your career and be passionate to drive it. It's yours to own and drive it. Don't let someone drive you. Drive it and drive it passionately. Intensity and depth will win in the long term, and it's not hype. We're in a generation of hype, how you can package your CV, how you can package yourself on social media. But ladies and gentlemen, the real stuff requires you to be intense, to have depth. To really be hands-on. Forget all the hypes, all the videos on social media. You've got to get what it takes to operate at the global level. Find your space and be best there. And always know something about everything within the data space. This is important. While you specialize, also understand a little about everything. Then validate yourself at the highest and global level. And that's why I will encourage you, be on Kaggle, be on Zinde, write great papers, be at the greatest conference, build products. This world is a global village. So let's get abreast about some things that are happening within the African ecosystem to see how the continent is evolving when it comes to the power of interdependency, interlock, and how we're leveraging each other's capability at an African level to inspire you. This is a keynote to inspire you on what you can also start doing in your space, wherever you find yourself. This is my summary of the African AI data science learning research ecosystem. You can see a lot of the players from Black in AI to AIMS. You can see learning communities, platform owners, advocacy groups, learning communities, like DSN, like Galsen in Senegal, like AI Saturdays in Nigeria and across many parts. And of course, Black in AI being the epicenter, and of course, Deep Learning in Daba as the ultimate connection for Africa. So, get the slide and check the details. This is another format of it, of how the African AI community is structured. And of course, we've seen some great success when it comes to startups in Africa. This was a report published by AI Expo Africa and Alliance. We showed about 75 plus ventures that are using AI as an AI first organization. So things are emerging, things are growing along various levers, driving value. So it's an Indaba deep learning community and Indaba X in 26 countries continue to help us to build local talent. For those who do not know, please Google about Indaba. It is such a great platform that is built on the principle of ecosystem on the continent. This was the last Indaba that took place in Tunisia. Great time to meet over 40 Nigerians who are there. I know some of them will also be at this event. And then I need to talk about one great product from the African community called the Masekani Natural Language Project for Africa. This is an example of a practical proof of the power of the community, of the power of the ecosystem to solve problems that are unique to us, which no one will solve. The problem of language, digitizing our language in an extremely low resource context is a responsibility we must take. And that's what Masekani has done. And you can look at some of the awesome papers they've done, around African speech, a lot of work they've done around name entity recognition for African languages. These are amazing work. And then I need to mention the African Network on Artificial Intelligence, which is funded by Canadian and Swedish governments. This is a platform for African practitioners, African researchers, with the support of University College London to collaborate, to exchange best practices. So it's important for you to know a lot of great stuff happening on the continent to contribute, to be part of it. So what are my reflections from this second part of my presentation? There's a lot of momentum and alignment across the continent in the spirit of Ubuntu. You will remember, Ubuntu means I am because you are because I am. So everything we do is for the collective good. Africa is playing a central role in global AI supply chain, especially at the early production phase. Talent is what we are supplying most now. And with the JAPA, we've almost become the talent center of the world. And the implication is we must build more talent. Those that will stay at home and those that will supply the world. And of course, we've seen countries like Egypt, Rwanda with AI strategies. But African presence in research is still very weak. So we need to do a lot of more work. And that's why I'm challenging a lot of professionals to find reasons to also move into research, those in research to find intersection in industry. Of course, we need to drive for global multinationals to find reasons to stay here and while we begin to look for more homegrown use cases. As I go to the last part of my presentation at this very auspicious DataFest 2022, I'll be talking about what are the ecosystem requirements and what we've learned at DSN, that's Data Science Nigeria, now called Data Scientist Network. What have we learned? The critical imperative to grow a community of learners, researchers, practitioners that can galvanize socioeconomic development at scale, that can drive prosperity for all. We have a very simple framework that has driven our work. The first pillar is what we call knowledge democratization. The second is enablement. Third is supporting platform. And last is institutionalization. How do we institutionalize? I'm going to go through this very, very quickly in short time. So, and you may be asking, why do I want to use DSN as a reference? Well, this is what I have done in the last 5 years plus, and there's tangible result, which maybe that's where I should start from. DSN has won academic poster award at the highest AI conferences in the world, ahead of many international universities. This is an example. You can Google it, 21st ACM conference. DSN has competed at the highest machine learning algorithm competition in the world. You can see that what we did during COVID. Our work has been recognized by MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, in terms of contributing to open data through synthetic data that we generated. Of course, South African government recognized DSN as #2 AI center in Africa, ahead of many universities. These are Googleable reports, so you can actually see all of that to see why I want to use our work at DSN as an example. Of course, UNESCO Science Report 2020 recognized the work of data science as a proof, homegrown approach to scaling capacity development end-to-end. So I'm going to speak to those end-to-end dimensions of DSN. Of course, DSN has won top 100 AI solutions, under the auspices of UNESCO, putting African names on the global map. And of course, DSN is not just learning, teaching, research. We also translate our work into monetize our work so that we remain sustainable, so that we are not depending on sponsors or anything. We prove our worth by the quality of consulting that we deliver. And in just a few years, we've done in excess of $10 million as providing consulting services in AI, data science, machine learning solution for development agencies and several multinationals, some of which you can see on the screen. Now, let's look at the ecosystem, and that's why I said I want to use DSN. I've justified why DSN, so I will now go into what are the critical drivers or the critical enablers of building an ecosystem, that can facilitate impact. The first thing, like I said, we must be intentional about knowledge democratization. We must create a platform that allows everyone everywhere to learn, and that's what we've done at DSN, releasing the first AI and Python book for kids in Africa in a very cartoon-like, I wrote this, in a very cartoon-like format, get kids to know machine learning, let them know how to code in a very friendly language that they like. And of course, making the book available to teachers across public and private schools, anywhere in Nigeria, as far as Maiduguri, to learn and to see them really apply this knowledge across board, because talents are everywhere, and we need to create a platform for that inclusivity so that all can benefit from the benefit of AI for social development. Of course, DSN has learning communities across schools in Nigeria, learning centers across all the 36 states, over 100 learning hubs in Nigeria. And the second thing is enablement platform, and this talk about the academic part of community or ecosystem building. For high impact ecosystem, it cannot just be about practitioners. We need solid academic and research best practice to be embedded, so that our work can be templated and becomes a reference. So at DSN, very solid partnership with University College London. We do joint projects, we work together. Of course, AIMS Kigali, we have partnership, knowledge exchange, University of Lagos, a lot of research partnerships, and of course, providing opportunity for PhD students in schools to come to our hub to learn. This was something we did for Institute for Mathematics and Physics, Benin Republic. And of course, supporting schools to have access to latest books. For example, we donated books. Every year we do this now, donating books worth 1 million naira to schools. We've done it for University of Lagos, OAU, and UI. And it's based on their participation level and winning our AI School of the Year, which is a function of number of students that participate in our AI bootcamp, which always have over 10,000 participants starting, and then the best 300, 400 make it to our bootcamp facilitated. So the third thing is supporting and scaling up. That's another thing that community or ecosystem must be able to do. So what are the examples we've seen? For us, it's all about we must support the industry with the right talents, get the talents ready to support the industry, get those that want to be startup to have access to angel investors, VCs, and of course to provide platform to validate competencies. And that's what we do with a lot of hands-on projects like Hackathon for Chevron Nigeria, working with KPMG to find talent, and then when they find the talent, they are able to take those talents into their company. And that's why we're so proud of so many of our students across the world today who have gotten jobs through DSN structured learning programs. And of course, those that want to go into their own private business, we create a platform for incubation where anybody can come to our AI startup lab in Ikeja, in Yaba, Lagos, and use the platform for free for 90 days. And of course, have access to our technology, our best practices as appropriate at our AI research lab in Yaba, Lagos. And the last thing, which is important to facilitate ecosystem impact, is we must have practice that focus on policymakers, government, and public good assets. What does that mean? No matter what we've done, no matter, we democratize knowledge, we enable it with solid research, we scale it up by making the talent available and accessible to industries, both as a practitioner, as a researcher, as a startup entrepreneur. We must also be able to contribute to how government is making policies and decisions to support the growth of the industry. And we call it institutionalization, when it lives beyond all of us. And that's one of the areas where we are playing big now. For example, we are leading the national policy on the use of mobility data from mobile network operator in an anonymized and de-identified way for social good, particularly for disease tracking, for national planning, because the way, for those who are familiar with mobile, what we call CDR, call detailed record, as you move between one base station to another, your mobility can be tracked, and the information about those movements can provide insight about how disease could spread among people and now intervene. So we're currently driving a national policy on this, working with Flowminder, Sweden, and many government agencies. You can see that. So this will be my final takeaway, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. So first is that talents are everywhere. We must create ecosystems that support opportunity equalization. And that's why I'm glad about what we're doing with DataFest, that people can learn, meet new people. Please use this event to meet new people, connect. And of course, for everything you have learned, with great power comes great responsibility. Take it to your community, to wherever you find yourself, and let the cycle of benevolence continue. Career building is not hype. No, it's not all those social media, stuff. No, it's intentional and strategic. Where do you want to be in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years? It is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you plan it, you are clear. What skill set must I have? what milestone, what impact must I make, what new competence must I build. It must be planned, it must be phased, and it must be rigorous and intense. Number three, AI for social good is very key for us in Africa. For those that want to look into startups, financial inclusion, health, agriculture are areas where we can use AI to improve the quality of lives. And if you want to work in the community, you need big visions that are beyond you. A deep sense of purpose, having a sense that you've been called to do this, that you are in this country for a time like this, to touch lives, to touch destiny and uplift life. We need people who are purposeful, who are not doing community or ecosystem stuff just for short-term gain, to get their name known and all that. I mean, those whose passion and pursuit is how many lives they're able to touch. And this requires a deep sense of sacrifice. I can't tell you the sacrifice we have made in terms of funding, in terms of investment, personal, and all that. It takes all of that. And in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, just take this away if you can't remember everything I've said. Great events do not make great people. Only great decision does. As you leave DataFest 2022, come out with 2-3 things you are going to do different to add value to the ecosystem. And of course, sometimes it starts from yourself and then it translates to the ecosystem. Get back to Cargo to prove your worth in the global platform. For me as a person, if you cannot test and prove yourself on a global platform, compete with others, whether on Zindia or Cargo, and learn from multiple data sets, I will still see you as a joker. Read more academic papers to be able to deepen your intellectual depth and use case application as it juxtapose knowledge from different people. Practice more coding. Our industry requires sequenced and structured instructions that you must practice again and again. Invest in learning, be intentional about it. Coursera, several DSM free learning are out there, and a lot of our videos of several classes that we've done are there. Invest in learning. Build solid mathematics and statistics skills. I do not joke with it. I recognize those that maybe no code, those who are developers, that is very okay. But for those who want to combine academics or research and high impact industry use cases at the executive highest level, your maths and statistics may be very important. Go for that higher degree if you have a passion for it and it is convenient for you and it is relevant to your career plan. And start your AI venture. If you've got that big idea, don't waste the time. Go make it happen. So thank you so much. As I will close with this quote, is an Ethiopian proverb. It says, a single stick may smoke, but it will not burn. So you need somebody. We all need one another to grow, to build a continent, to make a difference that the world is waiting for. It's all about partnership, collaboration, and community building. We need each other. We need to make that difference. And I believe that this is the time that the continent has been waiting for you to be that light wherever you find yourself. It is time to make a huge difference and demonstrate the power of data, data science, business intelligence, data visualization, no-code AI, no-code development in turning our generation for good, demonstrating the power of data in improving the quality of lives of people in emerging market. So I wish you all the best at this conference and do have a fantastic time. So once again to the organizer, thank you for having me and I wish you all a very great time. Thank you and bye-bye.
I just dropped a tweet, right, that every opportunity to listen to Dr. Bayo is always an aha moment. You know, if you really paid attention to what he has said, you know, you would realize that there are a lot of aha moments in that keynote speech. So I really think we should give, Dr. Bayo another round of applause, really. Thank you so much. I mean, for me, I've also had the privilege of working for Data Scientist Network, and I tell you, it's an experience that I'm yet to recover from. And all the facts that he has released there, they are nothing but the truth, right? Nothing but the truth. And that's why I'm so excited, really, that DataFest Africa, this community that we have here, right, each and every one of us will go forth after today, after the few hours we're going to spend today, we'll go forth and do great stuff with our career, do great stuff for the community, and then, of course, do great stuff for the entire world. If you believe that, please give yourself another round of applause. Thank you. So, Anoma, there are some key takeaways, right? Based from what we just heard, and then shortly after that, we're going to have a panel session. Our panelists are all here, so we'll have a panel session where we're going to have some conversations, right? So, for me, I think I should just start, right? Because a couple of things that I picked is the fact that you need to have distinct milestones, all right, in your career path. Very, very important. Guys, it's very, very important. It goes beyond what we do on social media. You know, it goes beyond that. Distinct milestones of what you're doing locally and what you're doing globally. Very, very important. Then you have to own your career. Own your career. If you don't mind, you can just face your neighbor and tell the person right to their face, own your career. Like, say, like, you're serious about it. Own your career. It's very important, guys. Nobody's going to own your career for you. You have to be the architect of your career, right? And thank God for this kind of conference where we tend to learn. We see where we're lagging behind. We see that, oh, wow, so there's something they even call this new field, right? But you must own your career. So we're going to turn it on to you, right? We want to hear. Anoma wants to hear, right? Anoma wants to hear from you. Right. So let's hear.
I need two persons that want to share what they learned from Mr. Bayo, Dr. Bayo, rather. Oh, okay. So I'm going to take a woman and I'm going to take a man. So I saw her first. Sorry. Please come on. Let's clap for her while she comes up. I said she. I said let's clap for her. She, not you. Okay, you can wait. You can wait. You will be the second person. Wait, you'll be the second person to speak. Is that fine? Okay, let's clap for her while she comes up. All right, say your name, what you do, and what you learned.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Adechoke, and I learned a whole lot of things, but I'll talk about the ones that really got me. So he made mention of leveraging on, what's it called, AI for the less privileged. Because come to think of it, if we look at those that really benefit from data and AI, these guys are guys that have access to internet, smartphones, and the likes. But what of others that couldn't even afford these things like that? How do we make them benefit from data and technology? So that's one. He also talked about the intensity of your work and not the hype you get on social media, because that is our reality. It's really easy to profile yourself well on social media, but how good are you at what you do? So I feel that matters a whole lot. So I think those are like two important things I learned. Thank you.
All right, hold on. Let's clap for him while he comes up.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Joy. I learned two things from...
All right.
I learned two things, too, from what he said. The very first one that got to me was the fact that he said career is intentional and strategic. He mentioned particularly about setting milestones for what each person wants to achieve for within a period of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, like that. And that really got to me. It's not just, career is not just about just wanting to show off what you've done, but it's about being intentional and trying to make a plan about how to attain that. And also, he also mentioned sacrifices. It is not always easy to make that sacrifices, and these sacrifices actually comes from passion and big vision, which is something that got to me. So the sacrifices, one thing I'm picking from this is the fact that the sacrifices I want to make should not be because I want people to know that I'm making sacrifices, but because it is coming from me being passionate and being visionary about it. Thank you very much.
So hold on, Lekon has a gift for you. Ajoke, come
Amazing.
up for a gift.
So now listen, we're gonna reward, right? So think of it this way: we're doing some reinforcement learning here, right? So there's gonna be reward. So to do that, we have, guess what? Wow, this is MTN broadband MiFi, right? We're gonna give it to them to reinforce the fact that you volunteered to come out. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Joy.
Thank you. And I know why everyone was, laughing when you said your name was Joy, right? It's quite interesting. All right. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. So don't worry, there's still a lot more to win, all right? Just make sure you're spontaneous, when we call for questions and all that. So Anoma, it's been a good time, right? I mean, I'm having a whole lot of fun here. So we're going to move on to the next, item on our agenda, which is the panel session. So I'm going to be introducing our panelists, all right? And all of our panelists are in here. So as I introduce them, of course, please, you're going to give them a round of applause as we bring them on stage. All right, so the session is going to be on enterprise data panel session, all right? So we want to learn more about enterprise data, all right? So we have Mr. Ina Alogu here. Is a digital commerce and mobile payment leader who has spent 15 years of his career leading the development of digital commerce that supports digital payments in various markets in Africa. He is a group director, digital transformation at ARM Holding Company, where he is overseeing the development, execution, and continuous monitoring of ARM Group's digital strategy. He leads the development of many digital platforms in InterSuite Group. Over the course of his 12 years at InterSuite Group, he was the head, Product Strategy and Innovation Group, Group Head Payments, Processing Group, and Group Head Verve Digital. He has an executive master's from IE University, undertook a senior management program at Lagos Business School, and a strategic thinking and management program at the Wharton School. He has also attended various executive online courses taught by MIT and Cambridge. Ladies and gentlemen, please give Mr. Ina a round of applause as he takes his seat. Welcome. Anywhere, please. Omosi profile. Opo.
Chocolate it not.
Amazing. Okay, so okay, so that's Fatai Teller. Fatai is the Chief Data Officer at Sterling Bank, Nigeria, where he oversees the activities of the data team and implements various data initiatives across the bank. He has over 20 years of experience in financial services and has worked in several banks, serving in various capacities. He considers himself to be a fluid careerist and one who is restlessly driven by curiosity, has a passionate need for excellence and aspire for self-awareness. He has attended various executive courses at reputable institutions such as INSEAD and Cambridge. And Unilag. Please make Mr. Fatai.
By the way, Unilag is the school of first choice.
Do we have any great Ife here? Of the greatest Ife. All right, thank you. Amazing. All right, so it's always good for us to blow our trumpet once in a while, All right, thank you so much, Mr. Fatai. And we have Oluchi Eze also here. Oluchi is currently a fintech analytics leader at MTN Group, South Africa, a multinational winner in transformation, innovation, and analytics, a Microsoft Power Platform trainer, and a citizen developer with over 12 years of experience. Proud to her current role in MTN Group, Oluchi has driven digital transformation and analytics projects in various business domain and industry in multinational organizations such as Coca-Cola as the senior manager, big data and advanced analytics in MTN Nigeria PLC as manager, data analytics and insight, and in Airtel Telecommunication, among other organizations. She had a first degree in computer science and later went ahead to acquire an MBA degree. She's the founder and lead trainer at BI Vantage LLC, a digital transformation and analytics edtech whose core mission is to empower career professionals and tech enthusiasts, especially women, with tech skills to solve business problems and grow their career by leveraging technology such as Microsoft Power Platform for process automation, data analytics, and digital transformation. She is also a wife and mom to 3 beautiful children. Please give Oluchi a round of applause. Amazing. So I'm going to be the moderator for this session, and I am confident that you guys are going to learn a lot. All right? And at some point, we're going to throw some questions. If you have questions, you can also be able to ask them. All right? So, Nama, it's going to be a
DataFest. Please, let's clap for our panel.
Woo. All right. So thank you so much, Fatai. Thank you, Oluchi. Thank you, Ina, for being here. We really appreciate the time you've shared with us, right, to be at DataFest Africa. All right. So we're going to get straight into it, right? But before, I have some questions here, by the way. But before I even do this question, right, I just want to get a feeler, right, of, how you're feeling, just a starter, like an icebreaker of how you're feeling, and if there's anything important that happened to you probably during the course of the week that you just want us to know about. Can we do that?
Okay, let me start.
Okay.
I think this is the first time in a long while that I have hope for this country.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
When I was being called to come and speak here, I always have this idea that we have the death of talents and everything. I just came here as early as 9 o'clock. I saw a lot of people here. These are the skills. These are the people who are going to change this country.
Amazing.
I mean, to me, and again, this is me coming to Unilag. I was in Unilag for BSc, MSc, MBA. There's one thing I always tried. I was trying to do when I was in Unilag: stand there and speak. Wow. I never did that. Today, I have ticked that box. So, I mean, this is one moment that I would like. So, it's been fantastic for me. So, I mean, I thank the organizer for the recognition and bringing me here. So, I'm excited to be home. And I've told them I'm going to be here all day.
Wow. Thank you so much, Atai. Thank you so much.
Okay, I'll go next. So, I think personally, just like he has said, I'm personally excited. When David told me about this, when it started as an idea, I said, this is the first time you have a group of young Nigerians gathering together under the umbrella for the purpose of data. And I said, if not for anything, I was going to be a part of it. And I was here yesterday, and I was amazed at the speakers, the engagement, all the breakout sessions. And I kind of had hope, because, from a hiring perspective, you see people, trying to apply for roles, and then there's a gap in terms of understanding how data is being applied to a business problem. And then seeing the sessions happening, I was really optimistic and excited, to say the least, that we're getting somewhere. And after this session, I'm very optimistic that we would have a lot of data leaders that will emerge from this conference. So I'm personally excited. Amazing. And I'm looking forward to it.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay, so for me, let me start by saying, when I was coming here, there was no traffic.
Nice.
So it took me about 30 minutes to get here, which is very strange, considering where I live. And just like Fatah and Oluchi has said, when both of them said you are the future, I think it goes a long way to say, when you look at how careers have been evolving, and when you look at the most sought after careers of functions that get the highest remuneration, it's great to see that you guys have chosen to be here, which means if you picked up an interest in performing a role in data. And what that does for you is that it projects you to be the cream of the crop, and essentially makes you the future of not just the private sector, but in Nigeria as well. So congratulations to you, and I do hope and wish you all the best in your endeavors.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Now, one thing that stood out is the fact that it's a message of hope, right? The fact that this is the hope of the future. This is the hope of Nigeria. This is the hope of Africa. And really, I think you all should give yourself another round of applause. Really. Amazing. All right. So thank you so much once again. So we're going to be having conversations really around, enterprise data. And really and truly, I believe that for everyone who is in the audience, they want to know really how is data applied in the enterprise, all right? How can they fit in properly, all right? By statistics, we have students, we have professionals, we have researchers in the house, right? So I'm going to just be, asking a few questions that, we're just going to have an open-ended conversations around, right? So I think I'll start with Oluchi, right? Why do enterprises need to be data-driven?
I mean, we're in the 21st century, aren't we? I like to call it foolhardy for a business that is in to make profit and to be here for the long run, to make decisions based on assumptions or intuition. It doesn't make any sense. So for you to make decisions that help you grow, you need to look at the data. The data is there for a reason. It's there to answer penitent questions that you're experiencing in your business. I'll give typical examples. You have customers that are leaving your business. You don't assume it's because your products are cheap, that's why they're leaving, and you just decide to reduce your prices. They will still leave. But your data can tell you what exactly is happening in your business. It could be because your customer service is crappy. It could be because competition is having better offers. It could be because there is an offering that they're expecting that you're not providing. So if you're not getting the right data and analyzing it for you to give you the right insights, for you to optimize your business processes, you just keep, moving in the dark, and then you spend money doing marketing. I tell businesses, when you're advertising or you're trying to, drive customer growth, and you're doing it because you think, you don't do business because you think. Every business needs to look at the data. There is data everywhere. Whether you have it in a big data platform or you have it in silos, there is data. But the goal is to leverage that data to understand what exactly is happening in your business and then use that to optimize, growth. So that's why businesses need to be data-driven.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Right, so you don't do business because you think. All right, and just like Oluchi has said, the fact is that everyone here, right, we are the answer to the businesses, right? Because businesses don't want to do business just because they think anymore, right? They need us, right, to make sense of that data. Thank you so much, Oluchi, for that beautiful answer. So I'm going to go to Fatai, right? It's just a question. I just want you to share your opinion around, what are some data use cases, right, that can drive strategic objectives, in an enterprise?
So again, it depends on the organization itself. So for example, when I started out as the chief data officer of Sterling Bank, it was new at that point in time. Banks, then banks used to have power, but the balance shifted to the customer. So we needed to do something different. So you speak to a lot of people about how data, new world, and we're like, what this guy is saying? Just go and sit down. So you have to show them practical example. So what did I do? I said, okay, there was a time we were trying to build a fraud solution tool. So they brought in a lot of vendors, they were there. And I said, why can't my team build this thing? I'm like, when did you start? So I made my case. For those people who know me, I don't give up easily. So I was able to, let me just bid. And to God be the glory, we got the same mark with the highest vendor. I was like, okay, if an internal person can score, and I said, well, so at the end of the day, we built a fraud intelligence solution for the bank. And you know what it means? It means either make profits or you control fraud or expense. So if something is being bidded for 500 million naira, and some people in-house built it and was saving the bank a lot of money from fraud. So everybody now says, okay, this guy is talking something. Then, of course, it'll still be a little bit sketchy because if something doesn't drive home, you don't fail it. So I have to go to business. So I took a particular branch and analyzed their business profile. Tell them that, look, instead of running all over, they are just 5 of your customer. They are moving 70% of your money out every month. Rather than chasing all customer all over the place, talk to these 5 people not to move their money, and your balance sheet will be okay, and you will smile at the MPR. It was an eye-opener because I was saying, okay, look, this X, Y, and Z move 100 million to his account in another bank. This one move 300 million to another. Tell them not to move the money. Instead of you, because each month you bring your inflow of 500 million, about 800 million goes away. That's what data does to you. It makes you work efficiently. You focus and you spend less energy. Just imagine driving all over Lagos looking for fun. As you are bringing the fun, double is going out. That's what data does to you. So when you give people from that practical approach, they start coming to you. And don't forget the fact that this is the same market everybody is looking. You have about 20 banks. I don't know how many fintechs we have in Nigeria. Add the, add the microfinance bank to it, and add the local lenders to it. It is the same number of people everybody is trying to grab their pie. If you don't know me, you cannot get me. Gone are those days that business sit down and customer walk in and said, look, I don't want to discuss with you, go away. But now, the mobile phone transforms the whole world. So if you don't get me at my point of need, I can't discuss with you. How can you get me? And that is why you have to tell me what I want to hear. There's this thing that happened in the early 2000s or thereabout, that once you see a bank on a particular street, in the next 6 months, that will be a bank street. Go to those streets now, you don't find those banks there anymore. Because people are just like, oh, this bank is there, there must be business there, everybody goes there. And they now find, but things are changing now. You don't go to a place. Let me give you the last part. There was a point in time in my bank where we were trying to look for where to place a billboard. Someone were saying Admiralty, or someone were saying this. Was okay. For people who were saying Admiralty, how many people live off Admiralty? A lot of people raised up and say, can you give me 5 billboards on Admiralty? Nobody can. So that's what data does. For the mere fact it's a busy road, does not mean you have an eyeball to it. So you probably put your billboard there, one of many. It doesn't make any sense. And that's what data does to you. Apart from process efficiency, you optimize your revenue and you can get who you are targeting. I think that's from that perspective that data makes sense.
Wow. Process efficiency, optimizing, and getting the person you are targeting. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Atai, for that eye-opening response. All right, so I'll go to Ina for the next question. It says, how should an enterprise be structured to drive maximum value from data? What roles and technology should an enterprise put in place, to drive maximum value?
I think it depends on the organization and it depends on what market you play in. So the size of the organization typically would determine what the optimal structure would be for you to get the best value out of data. So there are different studies about structures that people have adopted, and they essentially group them into 3 categories. So you can structure your organization to have a centralized data team, where you have one data team, and all of the businesses depend on that data team to deliver on their data needs. You can have a decentralized structure where each business unit has its own data function, or you can have a hybrid where you have a central team and then you have data business partners within each of the businesses that coordinate with the central data team. And what that does for you is it allows the data business partners to execute on the day-to-day needs of the business from a data perspective, while the data team focuses on creating the data infrastructure to ensure that the data is available and usable to the business teams. Again, I wouldn't argue that one is better than the other. Again, it depends on the organization, depends on the industry you play in, and it depends on the size. But there are certain rules that you must have in coming up with your organizational structure to get the best value out of data. And I think the very first thing, and this is the advice I give to most people who are trying to execute a data strategy, is you always start from the business. Most times people start from the technology. So you build a data infrastructure and then you try to find ways that the business can benefit from it. And that's one of the major reasons why most data strategies fail. So if you start from the businesses and you ensure that you have a structure that empowers the businesses to deliver on their own data needs such that you don't create a bottleneck that causes delay in terms of accessibility to data. And that necessarily will require that each business, maybe not necessarily each business, but you can have a data analyst, and essentially the role of a data analyst is to take the business questions and turn it into a query that then returns the answer that the business has to answer whatever business questions that the business has. But you must also have somebody on the senior level who is overseeing the overall data strategy and ensuring that everybody is aligned in terms of the direction where the organization wants to go. In some cases, you find that person is a C-level person, or the person is a middle management person reporting into the CIO or CTO. And I think very critically, you must have somebody responsible for data governance as well. One of the biggest challenges that many companies find is that you try and execute a data strategy without ensuring that you have a function that ensures that the data is available, it's usable, it's curated, and it is cleansed, because the quality of the data actually determines what the output will be from any data initiative that you have. I think at the barest minimum, those are the roles that you need to have. The larger the organization gets and the more dependent the organization is on data, and some organizations consider data to be strategic asset, you'd have roles that are very distinct. So you may have data engineers, data scientists, again, depending on how advanced the organization is with executing on this data strategy. And again, just to touch on data governance as a role. So you need to have a team responsible for data governance. You also need to have a team of senior people that are playing the steering committee role to ensure that the data governance processes and procedures are enforced, and then you need data stewards to ensure that the procedures are enforced within each of the functions in the business. Okay.
That sounds to me like, data team 101, right? Because Ina has just broken down all the things, right, required to have any data team in an organization. And I'm sure are there data governance folks here? Anyone in data governance here?
You hardly find them.
hard to find. All right. Data analyst here, raise your hand. Data analyst. Okay. You're the ones writing the query, right? Okay. Data scientist here. Okay. Data engineers.
Very few.
No data person here. Like, you are not in data at all. Can we see your hands up? I would have said that's the exit door. You can't do. Okay, good. Thank you so much, for that response. All right, Oluchi, so there's a follow-up question, right? Very similar there, which is, what are some common challenges that enterprises face, right, in terms of, executing strategy, or getting their data team up and running? What are some of those challenges that they face?
Okay, for me, I'll talk based on my experience. One of the challenges I see when it comes to, the execution part is lack of buy-in from the senior level. So what does that typically mean? When a C-level person, or what I like to call a sponsor, doesn't necessarily believe in that organized ecosystem of leveraging data to drive certain business initiatives, it cascades down to the analyst or the lower levels of the organization. So there has to be a buy-in, a sponsor, basically, that helps to drive it at the senior level, because there's some sort of cost tied to data initiatives. And if somebody at the top doesn't really see the value, there is no engagement. So you can have analysts in the team, but adoption is affected, because you as an analyst, you can think of, I have seen this problem in the business and I want to drive it. And the guy at the top is like, what are you talking about? Like, they don't really feel the impact that you can bring to the table. So someone at the top needs to be data-driven and see the need for the execution in terms of, these initiatives from the data-driven point of view. The other issue I've observed as well is data silos. So you have issues with disaligned KPIs in the same business. I will use a telecoms KPI, for example. RGS is what we call revenue generating subscriber. A team in sales or a team in marketing defines RGS different from a team in customer service. So when you're reporting RGS, you're reporting different numbers, because there is no clearly defined data dictionary, so to say, or like a data definition in terms of your KPI meaning. So what this organization is, or this business function, is reporting a different KPI compared to a different unit. And so when the business is trying to do like a consolidation, there is a banter between, no, this is the number, no, this is the number. It becomes an issue. But that's where data governance comes in. So when you have a data governance team in your organization, what that does is you have like data stewards representing, or data business partners, like I like to call them, that are standing in for each business unit and ensuring that if this KPI sits within my business function, this is the definition and everybody aligns with it. And also get the buy-in from the top. So, and then the third issue I've observed is capability. you have a lot of people in the organization that have zero knowledge of data. And I personally believe, from experience as well, is that data analysis is not the function of a data analyst alone. In this day and age, everybody needs data. So when you talk of democratizing your data strategy or your data function, is that everybody in the business needs to have an understanding of how to use data to drive their task or their responsibilities. Gone are the days where you just have a data analyst, and when somebody needs a report, I come to you because you're the data analyst. But in this day and age, everybody needs to have that skill. And if they don't, there is a gap between go-to-market, because I have to depend on your availability to get my data. But these days, you can leverage certain platforms that empowers your end users to be able to take the data that has been cleaned up in a way that they can analyze easily. And I think Power BI is one tool that I believe helps to solve that problem greatly. And once you're able to do that, you democratize it. People are now empowered to make decisions on the fly and make them accurately. So these are the three top burner issues that I believe a lot of organizations.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Oluchi. Thank you so much. Wow, amazing. So it all starts, just like, she has rightly said, getting the buy-in, it's very, very important. Capacity is very, very important, and data silos. So we need to solve for that problem of data silos in an organization. Thank you so much, Oluchi. So I'm going to go back to, Fatai, right? Because I remember when I said data governance folks in the house, raise your hand, only a few people, and you said they are hard to find. And there's a beautiful question here. Says, how critical is data governance to the success of data initiatives?
Okay. Before I even go, I'd like to add to what she said, because I lived through that challenges and those ones. When you're coming from an organization that used to be like this, and you're telling them this is the way. Of course, there's so many things. I would just group everything under culture. Peter Drucker says that culture can eat for breakfast. Culture can even eat the organization itself for dinner. Yeah, that's it. Because, see, there's nothing I tell you that's going to make you change. If I bring an analyst, do all the report I give you, people just put it. Because they feel that there's a lot of things that they are looking at. Some are looking at, is this guy want to take my job? Yeah, you're looking at it because one moment, let me give you an example. There's one time we are doing a recommendation engine or a profiler, which means that you guys should not be running on the street. Give me all the email and contact of your customer. I will profile near to 100% a product that the customer would love to do with the bank. So that means that Oluchi does not need to be driving with my car all over the place, because I'm going to target you. You're going to get that email and say that, hi, we noticed that these days, do you need a debit card to transfer money to your school? That's what you need. I've looked at your transaction. I've looked at you as an entity. So Oluchi start feeling that, okay, if this guy goes to do all these things, what do I do? So Oluchi will now say that, you know what, Shebi, you are a superstar. I will not give you those emails. I will not give you the right one. So the culture differs. That's one part. Those are the people that are afraid. The second part are those people who, by virtue of all those online platforms, they've done 3 days or 4 days, they suddenly become their data scientists. Those are the people that come to you. Data is the new oil. They will talk about AI. They talk about all those things, everything that they've read. Then that's another part. Then the third part is when people are now situating the structure itself. So where should you report to? Should you report to CFO? Should you report to CIO? Should you report to everything? So those are things that are very jamming. Then the skill is a big problem. The skill, the talent, where we are even trying to incubate, as we are incubating, they are flying out, they are flying out, they are flying out. I don't know whether I get to the office on Monday. Maybe a lot of people will fly out again. So that's it. So based to your question on data governance. So again, when we started out, data governance was at the background. So we are focusing on the data scientists, the data analyst, the business intelligence person, the data engineer, all those big names that use all those animal language, Python, Cobra, Cow. So that was our whole focus at that point in time. Then came GDPR. So GDPR came, looking at, this is a list of my problem, because you have a maturity profile that you are looking. Until when somebody just say, look, you have Nigerians with dual nationality. This can apply to them. I said, so what? They said they're going to debit your account with percentage of a balance sheet. Okay. This is serious. And I said that, or $20 million. Like, okay, how much are we making? So we now start sitting down. So one of the challenges about data governance is that you can tend to downplay it. You know, it's a noise game in Nigeria. That's why you don't see any data governance person, because people always go where the noise is. Data scientists are here, data analysts are here, data governance. Actually, the data governance can kill the bank in few minutes in such a way that somebody can just take the what's called the bank's data or the organization data and take it out. Litigation alone, the bank can close alone. So no matter how good your report, your BI report, your model, your intelligence supervise, one case can take the bank on the ground. It's not even that. There's a lot of things that are now happening because now increasingly customers in Nigeria are not aware, but they are the owner of their data. I can tell you that delete my data, and I can tell you do not share my data with anyone. If you noticed before, people would just be sending unsolicited emails to you and say, come on. But if you know that they are stopped. Another classic example is all those lending organizations that they will send their names to all the all your contacts, until one smart dude took them to court. There is a violation, is what's called data privacy, and the guy won. How much was he owing them? It was owing them 1,000 and 1 million. So he settled them and he walked away. So I think the importance of data governance cannot be emphasized. Apart from the brand damage, is one of the things that gave Apple a big lead was when the United States had issue with I think a terrorist phone, and they were asking Apple to unlock. Apple refused. Encrypt. They said they're not going to do that. And those are the kind of things that happen with data governance. So when you feel that your data are safe with me, you'll be good. Not in this age at night. In fact, these days now, when you want to do anything, because the data governance is so rich that it's even transferring to digital rights. You know, these days we are very funny in this country. Somebody will just be coming and somebody will take your picture on the road and put it on Instagram. It's because people have not been able to take them. Because it can't. I give an example in sports. There was one time Gareth Bale that played for Real Madrid. He was injured. You know, it's typical for sports clubs, organizations to say, oh, Gareth Bale is injured with an hamstring, is out for 2 weeks. He said they should not. This is his data. This is my right. Cannot. So it is not yet big, but it's something that is bigger than all the other things. Like she said, who touches your data? Because you don't have governance. If there's something, if you don't put a proper procedures and rules in place, if everybody touches the data, you don't know what happens to your data. So there has to be discipline around who touches your data, discipline about all the other, I don't want to go to technical, how your data are arranged, the level of authority that you give and all those ones, because they eat your P&L directly, straight. And your investors probably look at your, what's it called, AGM stuff, they look at fines and all those things. They're going to look at all those things. So it's even important that if you want to do your seed funding, I want to do, people look at what's your data governance structure all about. So it's something as important as all the other people here, data scientists, because I look at them when they have all this conversation. The data scientists, I call them arrogant ones. Yes, the data scientists are arrogant ones. Then the semi-arrogant ones are the data analysts. And they push the data governance people as if they don't exist. Do I need to say more? Thank you.
Amazing. Amazing. All right. I believe that, you are convinced, right, that the field of data governance is something you want to look into, right? So I'm sure somebody is already like, it looks like I find a new oil, right? And that new oil is data governance. So you want to check it out. All right. So I'm going to go on the last round of, questions. Then we're going to take maybe 1 or 2 questions from the audience.
Let's do 5.
5, okay. All right, that's fine. Yeah, 5. 5 works. So 3, 2. All right, excellent. So there's a question here, Oluchi. I'm going to come to you with this. So it says that, what are some key factors, right, that would ensure success of data initiatives within an organization? I think it's very similar to what you said earlier on, but we just want you to help us bring this home in terms of, if, for instance, so we have employers here, we have organizations that are, trying to build their data team. So what are some of those factors that you think that they should be looking out for, right? Such that within a year, they can get a return on investment. If they hire, so we have, folks who want to get into jobs here, right? So if they hire these folks, within a year, for instance, they can begin to get a return on investment. So what are those key factors?
Okay, so how I like to look at it is from the business point of view. Because everything we do, whether you are employed in the IT space or in the business space, like I said before, the goal is to grow the business. That's the underlying purpose for any business, is to make profit. I don't care what division you're in or what your title is. So when you talk about, factors that impact data initiatives, I like to look at them from a use case point of view, which is tied to a business need, not necessarily a business problem, but sometimes they are needs. So you can be employed as a data analyst in a marketing function, for example. Your first question when you're talking of a data initiative is, what is the end goal and how can I measure it? So we have issues where a lot of HR, and no shades to any HR person here, is they're clueless. They hire people because it looks fancy. We want to be, Industry 4.0 compliant. But at the end of the day, the question is, what value will this person add to my organization and how can I measure that value? So if you're talking of marketing, which I mentioned earlier, is we've had issues with marketing costs growing year on year for the past 5 years. And we're not seeing a replica return on investment in terms of revenue coming in. How can we turn that around? How can we have more targeted marketing initiatives that help us meet the right customer where they are and get the value that we're looking for? So when you're joining a team like that, what you're supposed to look at is what has been. So I think understanding domain knowledge is also very key. A lot of us jump to organizations that we have zero knowledge of that industry. You're moving from a telco, for example, to a retail, and you know nothing about e-commerce. So the first thing you should do is have business knowledge, domain knowledge, that's how I like to call it. Because you cannot solve a problem you don't understand. So the moment you have an understanding of the space you're in, whether you're in HR, you're in marketing, you're in customer service, what is key, and I like to call them quick wins. You're joining a new team. What is the quick win that I can achieve in the first 3 months? And then there'll be a high business realization value that triggers into your return on investment. So you join a team, look for the problems they have, or look for the issues. And the way you can identify these issues is by listening. When you join meetings, you would always hear the problems simmer in the conversation. Things that people are having. It could be operational efficiency. I think someone mentioned the case of, doing something that takes probably a longer time. How can I improve this efficiency? Sometimes everything is not about naira and kobo. Although at the end of the day, it's still going to trigger into money. I'll give an example. I joined a team once, and I was in the finance team. I have no knowledge about finance. I read computer science, so I know nothing about finance. But as a typical business data analyst, you find yourself in business domains you know nothing about. So the first thing I did was to understand the business of finance. What exactly is this business about? Then I got to learn things like EBITDA, OPEX, trial balance, and all those finance terminologies. But I got to also understand by querying or engaging with the members, the accountants in the team, is to say, what exactly is your issue? And one of the things I realized is that the time it took to close the finance books was taking roughly 5 days. And then the business gets to see the P&L after 8 days in the month. And I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. So what then did I do? I decided to walk through the end-to-end process. Okay, so how do you start your finance booking, and how do you end it? And I realized that it took 10 people to do postings in 4 days. And then the business was spending money on overtime, per diem, people working late. Employees were spending times they should spend with their family doing manual, mundane reporting every day. Something that would take you 5 minutes is taking you 3 days. It made no sense. So one of the things I tend to do in that case was understand the business problem, understand the business of finance. I'm using an analogy so that I can drive my point home. Then I decided to optimize that process. And like I said, at the end of the day, whether you're driving operational efficiency or something different, it still triggers down to the value that you bring in terms of money. So what the outcome of that is that the business saved money on cost. So the OPEX reduced for that business function. Because we're spending a lot of money on operating expense by paying people money that they didn't need to pay them. And at the end of the day, also you mentioned something along the lines of people thinking you want to take their job. I faced that a lot. And you will get the resistance because they feel like, who is this one that wants to come and carry my job? I've been doing this thing for 15 years. You can't come and take my job. But that's the problem. It's why I said you need to democratize data, and people need to understand that data is here to serve you. And if somebody is bringing an initiative, it's to optimize, so you don't spend time doing the what. You spend time solving the why. A lot of people in the business sector spend time doing analysis that they cannot even explain.
Absolutely.
You are doing reports that nobody is looking at. You are doing tables that have 20 rows and 15 columns, and nobody is looking at it. But at the end of the day, when you're able to do that, we're able to achieve, that optimization. And the ripple effect was that a lot of accountants in the finance sector got to really understand how they can use, because I think finance has one of the largest or more critical data in any business function, is that how can I turn this knowledge into optimizing the way I do things? Because one of the issues that we had is that people were posting, I'll give a sad story, a lot of people were making mistakes of overposting revenue into the books, and the impact is that you pay more tax to the government. The government doesn't care whether you made a mistake in your business, and especially for businesses that are listed in the Nigerian Stock Exchange or whatever stock exchange, is that there is an impact, and of course it affects the brand of that organization. So you want to be able to spend time before you churn out that analysis or that report in your business function. You need to have enough leeway to really understand, what are these numbers? Why did I decline month on month? Why did I grow year on year? The why really helps you understand the areas to focus on. Or most times we focus on the reporting versus the analysis. So when you are able to really understand how you can leverage, the power of these initiatives to really optimize the way you do business, the way you, grow your revenue, it ultimately helps the business to, one, become data-driven and overall, grow in terms of how they do things.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Oluchi has just delivered a blueprint, right? Don't just solve for the what, right? Go for the why, right? It's not just about the reporting, all the dashboards, you want to do the real analysis. And thank you so much for giving us that blueprint. It's so spot on. All right, so Ina, I'll come to you now with the question. At some point you mentioned data strategy during the conversation. So I'm curious, right? And I'm sure for some of us in the house, we want to know, right? That how important is a data strategy, and why should an organization have a strict data strategy?
So I'll talk about data strategy in a second, but I just want to quickly mention the importance of data governance, because I don't want people walking out of this room not fully understanding the impact that not having proper data governance has on your data endeavors. So most companies would tell you that data governance is about the protection of private information or security of information and so on and so forth. The information security team can take care of that. Why do we need a data governance analyst? But the data governance function is so critical to the outcomes of anything you're doing with data, because it doesn't only have to do with security, it also has to do with the quality of the data. The quality of the data is bad. There are no models that you can build that will give you any accurate results. It has to do with cataloging where data is. And I'll give you an example. Recently in the organization I work for, somebody who was in the data team had left. And to build one BI dashboard took us 3 weeks to find where the data was. And that's how it impacts productivity of any data outcomes. So it's extremely critical for us to understand, and take things like business glossary definition, for example. You're making a presentation to management, and you're talking about the number of churn customers, and then an argument breaks up in the room and said, what does churn mean? Or somebody says, what does a dormant customer mean? One person says a customer who hasn't done a transaction in 3 months, and that person says 6 months, and the entire presentation becomes about an argument on what dormancy means. Just a definition of dormancy that is accepted by anybody that would have been solved by a data governance policy would have just solved that problem. So coming down to data strategy, and I think the word strategy has been bastardized a lot, but a data strategy is about having a vision for what your company wants to achieve out of data, and having not just a short-term, but a long-term plan on how you want to achieve that. So it defines people, processes, technology, and rules that you need to put in place for you to achieve your data endeavors. And a data strategy shouldn't only cover what the data infrastructure should look like or what the structure of the data organization should look like. It should also cover things like culture. And Fatai had mentioned about the things about culture, and Oluchi had as well. But let me tell you how, and culture seems very subtle, but is actually extremely critical and can be the reason why something would fail or succeed. So let's look at data-driven decision-making, for example. Many organizations feel that data-driven decision-making is when you have a BI dashboard, people in the room sit down, interpret what that dashboard is telling us, and make a decision. And they say we're a data-driven decision-making company. Once you have your opinions interpret data, what it does is it just enforces the culture of opinion-based decision-making, because most of the people in that room are just looking for a dashboard that will support a decision they've already made. So if they see a dashboard that supports that decision, say, yes, that's what I meant. Or if something doesn't support the decision, then they start trying to pick holes in whatever the person is displaying. So data-driven decision-making is about having a systematic process of coming up with those decisions, not based on the opinions of people in a room, because once you have that culture in place, you have something called the hippo effect, where the highest paid person's opinion in the room always supersedes. So when opinions are used to make decisions, even when there's a BI dashboard being displayed, then the person with the highest salary in the room's opinion always supersedes. So you need to have a strategy in place that ensures that you're truly data-driven, having a process that actually interprets that data. Let me give you, anyway, it's a story I would have told, but maybe a story for another day.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we want to hear the story, right? Let's hear it. Please bring it home for us.
Okay, so it was just something that underpins this not falling into the trap of making decisions based on opinions when you're trying to interpret data. Don't try and interpret the data yourself. So I spoke to a gentleman who built an app that allows people to buy cryptocurrencies and put it in a wallet. And he's African, he's from North Africa, but he lives in the US. So he built this app and he built it for American users. But he started seeing downloads coming from Nigeria, transactions coming from Nigeria, and he didn't understand why. So he spoke to a couple of friends, his Nigerian friends, and said, look, I built this app for the American market, but I'm seeing Nigerians are my #1 users. In fact, over 90% of my users are Nigerians. And the Nigerian brothers there said, it's fraudsters. What they've done is they've defrauded people, and they've converted their proceeds into cryptocurrencies, and that's what they're using your app for. Anybody who wanted to listen to an opinion would have taken that and assumed that that really is the reason why people were using his app. But he felt that he needed more data. And so he got on a plane and flew to Nigeria and said, I want to find my users and ask them why you're using my app. And he went door to door and knocked on people's doors and said, you downloaded my app, why are you using it? Tell me what you're using it for. Of course, a few of them couldn't give a logical explanation, so that would account for the minority of people that were actual fraudsters. But it turns out that majority of people using his apps were using it because there was a problem in Nigeria, and they were MSMEs who needed to buy something from a supplier abroad. And because of the $100 and the $200 limits that the bank had put on their cards, they couldn't perform those transactions. So what they simply did was ask the suppliers if they accepted Bitcoin. And that's mainly what they were using his apps for. So if he had accepted the opinion of people who were supposedly Nigerians that understood the Nigerian market, he would have missed out on a very critical insight that would lead to certain product decisions that would improve his product performance. So this is just an example of why you should not rely on opinions, even when the opinions are being used to interpret a descriptive dashboard, for example. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Final question from my hand, and this will go to Fatai. It's an interesting question, right? The question says, who should drive data initiative within a business? Is it IT or the business?
Okay. Very interesting question. I hope I won't get myself into trouble. Anyway, so there's one thing we've not discussed so far. around how to set up data and everything, which I just remembered when he was making his point. You see, there's one thing I learned in one of my courses that said if you have an IT organization, you put money into it, and it's an old organization, you will get an expensive old organization. For this data stuff that we're talking about to really, really take root, there has to be organizational changes. Let's look at it. You are bringing the knowledge of data into the organization. They're not going to sit on the existing legacy behavior. There has to be a total organizational change. If there is none, you have an expensive old organization. And that's why you see people saying that we've sent people to Harvard, we've sent people to these, we've gone to DSN. There's still no substantial improvement. It's because there has not been organizational changes, which leads to the point where who handles what. Take the question again, so let me take it.
So who should drive data initiative? Right?
You see, I would like to look at it from this example. If you say somebody should drive, I don't think that's the approach. I think everybody should drive, where somebody has the overall responsibility. Like she said, I see that the chief data officer of a bank does not mean that I have domain knowledge of everything. Can I drive? Can I go into corporate bank world and have a valid conversation with them? So what it means that everybody needs to drive, but there's somebody that has to place accountability who sits at the central. It's because to me, this knowledge, to me, I say in the next 5, 6, 7 years, this data analyst, all those things will become a way of life, just like MBA. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, you got an MBA, you look like a superstar. But MBA is just basic right now. Same thing as project management, same thing as agile, agility, other certification. So it's going to be a way of life. For organization to succeed, everybody needs to drive, but the level and the the level and the impact or deepness differs, because the sum of aggregate is what you are trying to target. If you said I should drive the data, somebody in corporate bank will like, that is this guy's baby. He goes on with his own way of life. So what you need to do, everybody needs to drive the data agenda for the whole bank, and that's what we do at Sterling Bank. So it's a long road, but everybody needs to drive, and that's why we are democratizing data across its spectrum. So we were saying that for my corporate bank, that's our level of, what we are targeting, that every unit has a sense of data. So you must have your own data scientist with a domain knowledge. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to convert people in that domain knowledge space into be a data person. For example, you're tired of retail. You have, knowledge of retail end to end. So let me teach you what data science is. Let me teach you what data analysis is. So that person is going to beat everybody here. There's no way, because you understand this business. And that person will drive it from that retail perspective. So you're somebody that will drive it from the HR perspective. So that's how I think it should work. But it depends on the level of maturity. At the start, you cannot have that. At the start, the data office will drive that conversation. But as you mature, you have to evolve to different people to drive. So once everybody drives, it becomes a common language, and that's how you build the culture around those things. And that's the way I'm going to answer the question.
So can I add to that?
Yeah, I would love to hear from you.
Right. So I do agree that data should be driven by everybody across the organization. But if you think about it from an accountability perspective, where there is no accountability, you struggle to measure progress. From an accountability perspective, if you look at the why, like Oluchi had said, if you ask why are we doing this? Why do we have a data strategy? You hear things like, so that we can have data-driven decision-making for the business, so that we can get the best value, business value out of data. So it always ends with the business. And if you think about answering the question from a demand-supply perspective, if you look at every market where there's demand and there's supply, the market is always driven by demand. The demand has to come from the business. And if you ask me to choose who has to drive it, it has to be where demand is coming from. Demand can't just come from top management because they want to see nice-looking BI dashboards. Demand has to come from the business, who has to recognize that they now operate in a market that is characterized by VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. So those days where you used to sit down in a room and have a strategy for 1 year or 5 years and predict what would happen in the market and then build your business strategy based on your own prediction, you have to recognize that those days are gone. And you are living in a market where things change every single day. So you can't have a strategy in the beginning of the year and expect that strategy will remain the same at the end of the year. So you have to recognize that our business decision must be based on market data, coming from what competitors are doing, what our customers want, and a very deep understanding of who our customers are and how their needs are changing. That should be what drives the demand for the use of data, and by so doing, if you ask me to choose, I would say the business should drive it, because they are the ones that have a need for it. They are the ones that have to recognize that they have a need for it and push the demand for the supply side to be created within the organization.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love the way you use the demand and supply mechanism to bring it home, and further reinforces what Avatar has also said. Thank you so much. All right. How many more minutes do we have? 3 to 5. Okay, so we can maybe just take 2 questions from the audience. Wow. Okay, so I see. I hope it's not because of my MiFi, right? All right. So I'm going to take a man and a woman. Yes, okay, so you're standing already, so please come over. Or you can just grab a mic there. If there's a mic there. Is there a mic there? Okay, so please come over. You don't have to come on stage. So just. So 2 questions, please. Make the questions very brief. You can introduce yourself and make your question.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel Toby. I'm a student of Ibadan City Polytechnic. Yeah, so last month I attended INABAX, Deep Learning INABAX, and one of the keynotes was how often do big companies like Sterling Banks, MTN, Hete, how often do they release their data? You know, data in the sense that newbies in machine learning, data analytics, you know, if they are to come up, what kind of data do they work with? Are they working with a dummy data? You know, for example, if my dream company is Airtel, you know, I would like to work with the kind of data Airtel is using. You know, okay, you know, no, please. So my question is, these companies should try and make their data available. So no. The data could be encoded. Not.
All right, okay.
All right, so my question goes to Mr. Fatai, right? So he mentioned during the data governance part, you mentioned about resistance by certain employees when you are trying to, you know, do this data centralization stuff, right? So I'm asking, what was the practical approach you took in mitigating or trying to go around such condition? Because you spoke about how it happened, you spoke about how you solved the problem, but some of us are interested. When you face such challenge, how were you able to overcome it? I mean, the resistance from certain units within your organization. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Bolu Asife. My question goes to Mr. Ina. You talked about the 3 different types of data teams, the decentralized, hybrid, and decentralized data teams. So I wanted to ask, depending on your organization or the industry of your organization, are there like a certain type of data team that works in a particular industry? Or do you have to like have a mix, maybe the hybrid for different types of industries?
Thank you very much. The last question.
Hello, everyone. I think my question goes to all 3 panel members because I noticed that you guys have experience in finance. So when talking of banking the unbanked, I know it's a big dream that financial technology companies like purport, but in reality, there's not a lot of application, or it doesn't really translate into reality because they're not actually meeting this target market that they said they would reach, and it's not as inclusive as they've said that it would be. So is there a way that data can help drive this dream, can help drive financial inclusivity? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we'll come back to the the first question, right?
I don't know.
Question wasn't very clear.
I'm not sure what the guy was trying to ask, but if I understand, he was saying that why can't we expose our data to other people, to the public? I don't think you could do that because for me in my industry, when you open an account, there's oath of secrecy that was signed. For the mere fact that you guys are married, does not mean that I can give you his data. It's not possible. And I don't think anybody would like, maybe that guy, if I can expose his academic results and post it, maybe you'll be fine with it. Or I just send it to his family. I was like, okay, this is the performance so far. I think there's these things in us as human beings. The privacy part needs to be respected. Aside that, where everybody is in need to compete. So just imagine, I give all the data of my customer, and Zenith or GT, bigger people, they see it. Am I sure that I will still have those customers in the next 2 days? Or Barclays Bank or other people see it, or the fintechs, who they've not even seen it. They are taking my customers away. So, I mean, it is not, I don't know whether that's the question.
No, that's it, actually.
But I don't think.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think that will fly.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I can help the person, right? So if you're looking for data set to work with, you can definitely check, Kaggle. You can check Zindi. If you're looking for African data, you can check data.world. And those platforms can give you data sets to work with, right? So, so I think there was a question for you. There was another question.
Yeah, there's a question. I think you were saying, how did I get around the whole thing? Yeah. I think it's a difficult conversation, but what I've learned is that when you engage people one-on-one, there's a difference between when you were saying that you go and present the Power BI. People like to validate what they know, and they are quick to attack you or what they don't know. Because let me tell you what, an average human being like to be good. Nobody likes to be bad. So when you are trying to pay somebody bad, the defense part of the person comes out to you. So you have to engage the person and let the person understand that it's a win-win situation. You have to tell him what is the need for you and what is the need for me. So I'll give you a typical example. There's one time we're trying to, even the fraud solution we are building, we built a fraud solution which was rule-based. If you are these things, flag it. If you are these things, flag it. I said, look, this is mechanical. It doesn't make any sense. Can we do it in such a way that your team, rather than what the system has flagged, they keep checking it? Can't you just introduce some? You won't use all those your big English because it confuses them. Would you be comfortable if something can just take everything away from you and take that decision? And what you're looking at, you're doing the trend and then they say, I would have a person, for example, there's a first-time beneficiary. So once you do a transaction, it flags it. Are all first-time beneficiaries susceptible to fraud? Can we look at the history of the past of fraud cases in the bank, industry, and worldwide? And so it is not everybody that opens an account today that gets your attention. So you are putting 5 people there checking, okay, this one is not fraud. It's 1,500, you said. It does not make any sense. Can I put some intelligence part to it? So those are the kind of conversation. When people see results, and again, one of the things that we don't do well, we on the technical part, we come with a lot of arrogance. You don't know me. You come that you want to solve my problem, you're moving my better. You force a resistance. Because the person is like, okay, me that I've been doing this job, I don't have brain. It's you that just come, that want to tell me. Because communication matters. It is just like I say, storytelling is for the soul. Facts are for the brain. I think we always try to do that facts for the brain. It's the soul that you need to attack. So if you get somebody to understand that it's a win-win situation, you see the person as a partner. I'm here to help each other. This is how I wanted to help. And so it becomes a synergy between both of you. And this is driven by practical results. If you come to me and tell me today that why are you going to Unilag when you don't even know whether there's going to be traffic, there's something called a Google map. It can tell you the best route and the time to get. You have not. But if you come to me and tell me that, you don't even know anything, this is not the way. Next time when you are going out, always check Google Map. And I said, before you were born, I've been going out this Lagos. That's it. So engagement, communication, and the sense of belonging breaks all those barriers. And when somebody believes in you and you guys are friends, things come up. But don't come up with, I see that a lot. And I always tell my team, you guys are arrogant. You come, you have not discussed with somebody, say, 5 of your customers are living in the next 5 days, these days. You go like, and so what? So, but you need to understand that, see, for example, I like the question, the framing of the question. So, for example, I have a friend who is in business, and I'm like, oh, Larry, what's up? Do you know how many of your customers are going to live in this month? Say, I reject it in Jesus' name. I said, Larry, don't reject anything. I can tell you that a lot of customers will say, I don't like this story. I said, okay, let's go. So this guy, he has not done transaction in the last 4 or 5 months. So his transaction used to be X amount, but he's reducing, and this guy will go. I said, how did you know? This is data now. I said, call the customer. All right, I call the guy. You have not done transaction. Because you have not called me. So at that point in time, the conversation changed. And I said, okay, come. How many more can I find from this? Those are the kind of way to break those barriers. And once people see something that they can relate with, then instead of you going to them, they start coming to you. So it has to be value adding.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I think we have one last question.
Yeah, there were 2 questions for me.
Yes.
So there was a question about what type of structure applies depending on the organization and the market you play in. There's not enough time to describe the different scenarios where a centralized, decentralized, or a hybrid structure would apply in terms of industry. And I don't like to use the word industry, but let's look at the size of the organization. So if you work in an organization that has a holding company structure where you have subsidiary businesses, what you can't have is a centralized structure, because what it means is that each of the subsidiary businesses have to send their requests to the center, and then the center becomes a bottleneck, and you then have to prioritize which businesses request you're going to treat first. So you can't be agile if you have a centralized structure for an organization that has a holding structure where you have subsidiary companies. You also can't, in fact, the worst to have is a decentralized structure where each business is operating its own and executing its own data strategy without any control from the center, because everybody just moves in different directions, and it promotes silos. And you know that one of the biggest enemies for getting value out of data is silos. So you don't want a structure that promotes silos. So for such an organization, you must have a hybrid structure where you have a structure at the holdco level that maintains the overall data strategy and how each data strategy cascades to each of the businesses. And then you then have data functions within each of the businesses to cater to their day-to-day needs. But the center is not just supporting them with building the infrastructure and making sure the infrastructure is in place, but ensuring that the strategies are aligned with all of the subsidiary businesses. If you work in a startup, for example, that has just 10, 15 people, you can't have a hybrid structure. You would then adopt maybe a centralized structure because it works. There are not too many businesses, not too many products. So the central team can deal with all of the data requests coming in a timely manner. It all depends on the size of the organization. There are certain industries that would require certain structures to make them more efficient. But again, there's a lot of literature on Google. If you just Google the centralized, decentralized, and the hybrid structure, you'd see a lot of research and articles about where it applies, where it doesn't apply. And there was a question about the banked and unbanked. And I find that to be a very interesting conversation each time it comes up. Now, here is the problem with people who have tried unsuccessfully. And you're very right when you speak about people not having the right type of data to be able to determine what customers in that segment really want, and as such not able to tailor their products and services to meet the needs of those customers. The problem is the data isn't available, but it can be gotten, but it requires a lot of work. Now, for example, the needs of financial services in the HNIs and the upper middle class customers and those in the bottom of the pyramid may be the same, but how you address those needs are very, very different. And I'll give you a very typical example. If you think about loans, and there is this big misconception that people in the bottom of the pyramid who have no collateral are at a higher risk of defaulting. It turns out, having spoken to a Kenyan company who built a loan solution for people specifically in that category, that they have the lowest default rates. And if you took the time to go and research how these people consume loans, you would find that the way the informal financial services sector is structured, and you have loan sharks in Lagos Island, people who sell bole and bread go to those loan sharks and they take loans and they always come back and pay. Do you know why? Because they are paying back guarantees that they'll get a loan the next day. And the profit that they make from that loan is what they use to feed their families. So it is not in their interest to default. It's actually people like you and I who have lawyer friends that will take loans from banks and hire our lawyer friends to go and defend us when we spend the money on something else. So the point I'm trying to make is, for you to be able to break into that unbanked segment, you have to truly understand how those people consume financial services, and then you have to tailor your products. The problem you have is that you take the products built for the upper segment and you try and force it in that lower segment. One, there's a usability problem. Two, it doesn't address the way they save. It doesn't address the way they borrow money. And I can give you so many examples. I interacted with a lady from M-Pesa, who is the M-Pesa is now separate from Safaricom, but at that time, Safaricom and M-Pesa were the same company, where you had Safaricom, the telco parent, and then you had Safaricom, the one M-Pesa providing financial services. And what the lady told me was that if you look at the Safaricom or the M-Pesa logo, it doesn't look, the aesthetics does not look nice. It doesn't look as beautiful as logos from other fintechs, but it was deliberate. It is because people in the segment that they are trying to serve can relate with that brand. So it's deliberate that it doesn't look nice. And she told me, and we had this conversation at 4 Points in VI. She said, if you put a sign on 4 Points and said Amala for free, the people that will come in would be wealthy people. You will not find a poor man there, because he's scared that if he goes in there, even though he says Amala free, if he goes in there and he eats and they say, oh yeah, it's no longer free, you have to pay. It was free till 10 o'clock, it's 11 o'clock now. But if you painted a restaurant with those funny looking artists that will paint a goat head, and even if the Amala is not free, he'll go in there and eat, because that's what he can relate with. So you have to understand the kind of brands that people in that category relate with. You have to understand what their needs are, and you need to understand how, specifically regarding financial services, how they consume financial services, and tailor your products and services to meet that need. But you're not going to find information about those customer needs on the internet. It's not available. So it's the people who take the time to go and get that data that will be the ones who will succeed. And there are companies who are spending that money to do that, because they are not driven by short-term profits. They know that it's going to take some time to be able to understand that market, build products, test and learn and adapt the products. And that's really what it takes. And that's really why it's very difficult for fintechs today to break into that market, because the sources that they're getting funding from are demanding returns immediately. But it's going to take a period of time for you to understand that market. It's going to take a period of time for you to invest and change the way that they behave before you can start to see traction. Don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. I think there was a question for Luchi. Was there a question? Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Please, let's give our panelists another round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we've come to the end of the panel session, and we cannot thank you enough. But before you go, right, so we have some, awards from the organizers, all right, which is just really to just, celebrate you and thank you. All right, so I'm going to present this award to Mr. Fatai Teller on behalf of the organizers and on behalf of everyone right here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Can I say something? Okay, my mom, if you're looking at me, I was a very bad child. BSc, I did not come here. MSc, I did not come here. MBA, I come here. Now I'm here. It's a gift.
Thanks so much. Thank you. Amazing. Right. So we have this award to Mr. Hina. Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause on behalf of the organizers. We say thank you. We celebrate you. Thank you so much for this. Thank you. So we'd like to just take a group picture with you. Okay. All right. Can we have members? AY, David. I'm sure we have a lot of key takeaways, right? Major key takeaways. And for me, this is honestly, this is still the appetizer. There's still a lot more to come. Trust me. So please, let's celebrate our organizing team as they come up, as we take pictures. These are the brain behind while we are here. Outside. Okay, all right. So the pictures are outside, all right? Thank you so much. So I think we just continue, right? Thank you so much.
DataFest. DataFest. Please, let's give ourselves a round of applause. All right, so we are behind schedule. So I'm just going to do a dive in to call the next person. So how many of us are aware of the datathon that is ongoing? How many of us? How many of us participated? Oh, you guys participated. All right. So we're going to be having the Datathon finalist presentation now. Please just give a round of applause to everybody that are on the top 5. And handling this session is no other. Who has seen all these viral visualizations that have gone viral on Twitter? Who knows Paul here? Please let's invite Paul, the governor, like I call him. Please let's keep clapping for him. So Paul is going to be taking us through this session because he has been the team lead of the Datathon competition. DataFest.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Paul and I really want to appreciate the organizers and the participants of the Datathon, which was just recently concluded last weekend. Yeah, last weekend. So we had quite a number of submissions, but we had to restrict to 25 participants. And we had a cargo competition, and we chose the top 5 and the top 25 people, right? I don't know how many of us saw the cargo competition. There was one particular team that was disturbing everybody, oppressing everybody. And from there, we had the Datathon. We had it at Cafe One. Please, a round of applause for Cafe One. So we used their venue. They hosted us well. One of the best. I would always recommend them. And after the Datathon events, myself and the judges and some of the organizers, we had to sit down and pick out the top 5. Trust me when I said the top 25 people, they did marvelously well. And I think in the future, we're looking at a session where we just bring everybody together to look at the data sets. We would also have a look at it together. But now, we want to present to you the 5 finalists, 5 of them. So, the teams are going to be presenting their solutions. They are going to be presenting their solutions. So, I want to introduce our judges. Adedapo Pelumi, please can you come forward? Yeah. Simi, can you come forward? Please, a round of applause. They've been working tirelessly trying to do this thing. Ibilola, is she here? Yes, come forward. No. So these are our judges, so you can see them. Mr. Mubarak Adigun, please come forward. So these are our judges. Yeah, so you can have a look at their faces, our wonderful judges. So please, I think you have to sit in front here. So let's not waste time. Let's start with the first team. Okay, yes, the first team. So before that, let me just give you a brief about the data sets they worked on. So we had a network service center where people log complaints, just like the way you reach out to your network providers. Oh, my network is bad, this is bad, I can't make calls and stuff. So it's a ticketing data set. So once you complain, a record is created with the type of issue, your name and the like. So we have columns like the report ID, close time. Okay, when the ticket was actually opened, when the ticket was responded to by the customer service agents, and when the ticket was actually resolved. So basically, we wanted to find out performance of the managers, performance of the agents, how the locations are faring and other things. So these are what you'll be seeing in the solution. So I just want to introduce the first team. Team Perito. Is Team Perito ready? Yes, you have 5 minutes. Please, a round of applause for them.
Good day, everyone. This is Team Okay, this is Team Perito, and we are okay. This is Team Perito, and we are presenting our solution to the Intel service provider. My team members, my name is Olamide Komotosho. We have Ayo Babalola and Praise Olawure. So our analysis of getting the data was basically to show the performance of the company, and you already explained what it looks like. So the data we have actually show that there is a complaint of 5,998, and the average response time, the company actually gave an SLA that they should at least respond at least in 15 seconds, and also average resolution of 3 hours. But from our average analysis, it shows that they have 273 seconds to respond, 2.49 hours. And the complaints actually came from 133 customers. So most of the tickets have been completed at when the data was analyzed, and the resolution matrix that was given is if most of the resolved tickets actually fall in the critical region. Because of our time, we're not going to that. Most complaints actually come from the customer hands, and some other ones followed behind. And by the time we analyzed, we saw that majority of the complaints increased towards the ending of the month, and at weekends there are drops in number of complaints coming from customers, and the channel by which the complaints comes more is actually from social media. So one of the executive from the problem statement states that they notice more customers are complaining within a time 6 to 9 p.m. and they request us to do something about it. So we check from the data and we notice that we actually group it by time and time of the day, and we discovered that around 6 to 9 p.m. there's actually a spike, as you can see from the charts, both in response time and also in resolve time. And this could have actually been the time by which workers close from work. So, and that actually affects the response and the resolve time. So definitely there is a need for the company to resolve the total turnaround time within 6 to 9 p.m. And it's actually going to be a good idea to reduce and increase customer effectiveness. And we also decide to check what could have caused or affect the response to tickets. Like immediately the ticket is being checked. Some of the things that actually affect ticket response time include the channel by which the ticket is coming from, the day of the week. It has little or no effect. And also we notice that the region actually, or the zone, the response time from southeast increased compared to that of northeast. And also the complaints type. Initially, I told us some of the common complaints or fault type. The intrusions actually is one of the lists, but the time it takes for it to be responded to is more than any other one. Then the other problem statements required us for us to check managers' performance. And we discovered that the person like Victor is actually having highest complaints. And that could have actually mean that he is also not going to be performing well because of the workload or some other reason attached. And top operators that was discovered are kind of Kola, Boye, and Kachi. Not only that, they were both good in response time. They were also very good in resolve time. That they respond to tickets immediately is being noticed, and they also resolve the complaints. And the operators that are not really meeting up to the standard, the likes of Ore, Akin, Mary, and Sunday, are actually below in terms of the response. So we have done this and we decided to give a recommendation to the company. And one of the recommendation is that the company can actually adopt a kind of the company can actually adopt a form of automating response using like a product like Microsoft Power Automate to quickly respond. They can also use a frequently asked question on social media, since most of the companies are coming from social medias. The top performing operators and managers could be awarded to improve orders, and also the response and ticket time could be added to their KPI to both improve how they do. More operators should be allocated to areas that are having more complaints compared to others, and also the turnaround time and also the optimization should be made a 24-hour stuff just because of time. Thank you.
The time is up. Thank you very much. So let's welcome the next team. Are you guys excited? It's actually huge. So the next team, please. Make welcome Team Nova. Team Nova. The time starts now.
Hello, everyone. This is Team Nova, and we are here to present our analysis on the Zentel Network Service Center ticketing performance in December 2020. Now, this is our overview report, and we can see that we had a total of 5,998 reports with an average response time of 274. So I would like us to know there was an established benchmark of 10 seconds for response time, and we can see we are not meeting up to that particular threshold. We had an average resolution time of 2.41 from the data sets, and this is well below the 3 hours threshold. We can see that the most encountered report channel is the social media channel, having the most percentage count, and then we can also see the percentage distribution of fault types, having the customers, from the customer's end is the top. Can we go down to the, all right, so we had a particular stakeholder suggested that turnaround time be optimized within the hours of 6 to 9 p.m. And we were asked to either follow suit or debunk his suggestion. So we did a comparative analysis, and what we did was isolated the time difference, time limit within 6 to 9 p.m. and also outside 6 to 9 p.m. Now, on an average, we can see that we are having 309 seconds as response time, as opposed to 272. Even when we have 6 to 9 p.m. as a short time frame, we can see that the percentage of response time, 98.19, what we did was anything above 10 seconds, we categorized as bad, and anything below that was good. So we can see that 98.19% of the time within the hours of 6 to 9 p.m., we are performing badly, as opposed to 81.68% of the time we are performing badly outside 6 to 9 p.m. We can also see a huge chunk of the resolution class lied between the critical and fair stage, about roughly 80%, as opposed to about 75% within the hours of 6 to 9 p.m. So from our analysis and results, we're able to categorically state that yes, we actually followed the recommendation, and turnaround time should be optimized in the hours of 6 to 9 p.m. I want to show how different variables affected response time. Now, something peculiar about this data was we noticed within the 28th and 31st of December, there was a huge traffic spike, and a lot of that came in through the social media channel. And looking at the number of operators and the average calculations we did to see the number of reports they had to handle, we were able to understand that we probably can infer that we didn't have enough operators on ground to handle the huge surge of traffic spikes that were encountered within that particular period. Okay, take me to the employee report, please. All right, so we can see we wanted to grade our top employees, our top managers, and the top operators. What we did was we checked the percentage distribution of those that were able to meet up with the 3 hours deadline and those that couldn't meet up. With the legend indicated there, we can see Kerry, the one performing best, and in terms of the operators, Kachi, 65.52% of the time, was resolving his issues less than 3 hours, and Ore was doing badly, okay? So finally, we want to present our recommendations. All right, so the manager in charge of the least performing operator, we believe he should be probed to know the work ethics and know what's wrong with the particular operator under him, to know what makes him not to
meet up with his own deadline. The least performing operator also should be made aware of his poor performance, something to keep his mind in check ahead of the next month, which is January. Now, in order to keep the team morale as high as possible, we believe there should be compensations for the top performing managers and top performing operators. It serves as boosting the team morale. Now, as observed, within 28th and 31st of December, we could see that there was an over-reliance on social media as the most preferred report channel. Now, we believe there's a need to hire probably more operators in order to handle the influx from other report channels in the future. Also, an automated response scheme can be created for the most common type of complaints, I believe, like chatbots on social media or FAQs. I believe this could help reduce the number of redundant reports that the operators would have to respond to. Now, in conclusion, I would like to point out some caveat which we did after thorough analysis of the data set. We discovered that we had 974 records that didn't show a time difference. All these were written down in our documentation. 974 records didn't show a time difference between the ticket opening time, ticket resolution time, and ticket response. Now, why am I pointing this out? A lot of the DAX calculation we did is based on central tendency statistical measures, and I believe this skewed our data in a bit. All right, so with this, no particular operator met up with the SLA, and we believe that things can be altered if we want to improve performance generally at Zentel. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A round of applause for him. So, please, let's welcome the next team, Data Archive.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Okmedoris Chamaka, and I'm a member of Team Data Archive. My teammates and I worked on a report for Zentel Network Service Center. Zentel, as a network service provider, receives complaints from customers every day, and they aim to respond to these complaints within 10 seconds and resolve every issue within 1 hour. Now let's look at their performance. In the data sets given, there are 5,998 different complaints from 6 different channels and 28 different operators. 569 of these complaints are currently active, which is about 9.5% of the total number of complaints. Rather than 10 seconds, the average response time is 22 seconds. And rather than 1 hour, the average response time is 2 hours, 49 minutes. Most of the complaints are from the customer end and line damage. Now let's look at the turnaround time. One of the executives suggested that the turnaround time within 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. be optimized. And we strongly agree, because looking at this chart now, you can see that both the average response time and the average resolution duration between 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. are much, much more greater than 10 seconds and 1 hour respectively. However, in addition to that, we also suggest that the turnaround time for the response time across the different hours also be optimized, because as you can see, from 6:30 p.m. to, except for 6:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., the average response time is above 10 seconds. Now let's look at the response delay. There are 4 main factors that affect the response time. These are the zone in which the complaints are coming from, the channel which the users use to relay these complaints, the employees, that's the operators that were there, that were active at that period when the complaint was laid, and the type of faults. For the type of faults, we have traffic spikes as the type of fault with the most amount of response delay. For the zone, we see that complaints from northeast has the highest amount of response delay. For the channel, customers who relay their complaints through using chat box has the highest amount of response delay.
And lastly, for employees, we can see that Jennifer, John, Pepeola, and Buki, they are the operators that have the highest number of response delay. Now let's look at the employees' performance. Overall, the managers had poor performance from their operators. However, after filtering using different channels and different hours of the day, we found out that for web form, the team managed by Wale had the highest performance, had the best performance, with Kola and Mary as the swiftest operators. Now, here are our recommendations to Zentel. Hire more operators or work on the operators that perform night shifts in order to improve the performance, in order to improve the response performance between 4 p.m. to 6 a.m. And lastly, the entire strategy for responding to complaints should be reviewed because it's currently inefficient. Thank you.
A round of applause. So let's welcome our next team Data Nova. Data Nova. A round of applause for Data Nova.
Good day, everyone. Good day, judges. So my name is Larry Matthew. I'll be representing Team Data Nova for this data visualization presentation. So basically, the first thing we see here, this is basically data visualization for Zentel network service performance. The first thing we see here, up on top, you can see the count of the faults and the issue review. So the count of the faults is just basically listing the amount of faults we have in the network service and basically the amount of times they occurred. Same thing with the issue review. And this issue review is just basically pointing out the resolution matrix, which basically states that every operator should resolve whatever ticket complaints they have within 3 hours. So if you look at the donor chart, you can see the various distributions of the resolution matrix. You can see the critical is leading with 41.16% and so on. So we can see the average seconds per ticket response. That means averagely, each operator takes about 273.68 seconds before they respond to a ticket. And according to the recommendations given, it was actually supposed to be 10 seconds. That means none of the operators actually reached that mark. Now, if we go down to the manager slicer, please, and we check on Victor. Yeah, so Victor is a manager in Zentel. So something very interesting. The total ticket complaints we had was 5,998, sorry. And the total tickets Victor and his team members handled was basically 2,780. And that basically means it was almost half of the total ticket complaints, meaning that Victor and his team members were giving more tickets than other people. Basically mean there was a biased distribution. And if you look at the performance from Victor's side, basically, it was basically almost equal to what we basically had looking at everything generally. Now, if we remove the slicer, and we look at the volume of tickets opened, we can see that from day 0 to day 30, there's a very huge spike in day 30. And if you drill down further, only Victor and Sheun really came to work on day 31. Meaning, even on day 31, Victor still had more ticket complaints than every other person. Now, when we look at the turnaround time, which is basically the second area chart, we see the highest occurring T80. T80 is basically the time for each ticket resolution. The turnaround time was 3 p.m. The highest turnaround time was 3 p.m. I will look at the spike. The spike occurred around 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Meaning around 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. That was when most operators were the most active and were actually performing their duties optimally. So if you go down to the performance page, Yes, thank you. So if we go down to performance space and we look at the average ticket response versus hours of the day, we see around 8 a.m. down to 4 p.m. That's when we have the fastest tickets response. And from 12 a.m. to 5 to 7 a.m. and from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. we see that there's a drastic increase in the amount of time it takes for each operator to respond to tickets. So concerning the executive who wants us to optimize the time to 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., I wouldn't really advise that, because it seems like the operators are actually more active and perform more optimally during 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. and their working hours actually 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. But if at all the time is to be optimized to 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., I would advise a shift system, meaning there should be some people will come to work during the normal daytime, and there will be a night shift. So basically, not just optimizing between 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., but optimizing all through the hours of the day. So this basically just increases the whole, it's just limitless possibilities, basically. So if we go down, the next chart here, we see the operators by ticket response. So if you check out this slicer, fast or slow. So fast is basically referring to tickets that were responded to within 10 seconds. That means tickets that meet the recommendations. We see that Sherifat, Shekina, Abib, John, Atiku, Bola, and so many others, they had like 76, 70, 73, 70. This is basically taking about their individual ticket response per ticket. And we notice that if you check on the manager slicer, we notice that the top 7 actually, the top 7 from this list are from Victors. Now, although Victor had the highest number of tickets complete, he also had the highest number of operators who answered their ticket response faster. So basically,
your time is up. Your time is up. Thank you very much. A round of applause. A round of applause for them. Interesting. So we want to call the last team Data Catalysts. Data Catalysts.
Let me tell you a story about Roland. Roland is a customer of Zentel, and he's the CEO of a company. His company recently had a line damage problem, and when they called Zentel, they could not resolve that issue on time. Just like Roland, there are several customers that are complaining of the delayed time that Zentel is using to resolve their issues. This is a problem, and we want to help Zentel to solve this problem. There are 5,998 total tickets, and the resolution time is 145 minutes, which is not the required, which is earlier than the required time of 180 minutes. That is 3 hours. But then the response time is 274 seconds, which is way delayed than the required time of 15 seconds. Just 18% of these tickets are responded within just 10 seconds. It's not even up to a quarter. This is a very big problem, and my teammates figured out that there are 2 major causes, the who and the what. Looking at the response time and resolution time by managers, the Victor is the best performing manager, and Wale is the least performing manager. Particularly Aki in his team. Go back. Between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m., there is a high inflow of tickets within that time. But then, the resolution time is very low and is constant. Outside those times, the inflow of tickets is low and the resolution time is very high. The managers, the executives need to work on the shifting times of these operators, so that the more available operators will be put outside 7 a.m. and 3 a.m. so that the resolution time will be optimized. Next slide. Okay. These social media is up there. Oh. By channels, by channel, USSD is the delayed time by channel. So they can work on an alert system where as soon as a ticket is open, the managers can receive an immediate notification. In summary, we recommend that the best performing manager, that is Victor, be highly compensated. And then Wale, the least performing team member, the least performing manager, be put on probation. Then the executives can also work on making the operators that are more available outside 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. so that the resolution time can be optimized. Then based on the channels, USSD can have an immediate notification. We recommend drop SMS, where as soon as the ticket is open, there is going to be a pop-up notification for the tickets that is open. Let me take you a quick run through on our dashboard. We understand that the stakeholders are divided into the top executives and the managers. So we did personalized dashboards for these two. The top executives, go back to the first slide. The top executives will be able to monitor the performance of just the managers. But then the managers can only monitor the performance of their team. That is, if Manager Victor logs in as a manager, he cannot see the performance of Kerry. We use role level security for this. Sorry. Lastly, this table, we understand that the managers want to see tickets that have surpassed 3 hours in the resolution time because they want to handle the ticket themselves. So we helped them by showing them a table so that they can have access to all the tickets and track them by report ID.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for all the team members. Really, we are so proud of all of them, everybody who has participated. And please, a round of applause for everyone who has participated in this datathon. Yes. I'm sure you guys are aware of the prizes. You can see the competition between them. The prizes are really, the prizes are great. I think the first winner is going home with 400,000. The first team. And not just that, they are also getting free health insurance for 1 year from Sterling. Please, a round of applause. Yes, so the second team is going to get 300,000 and some other gifts also. Then the third team is going to get 200,000. So you can see that there's something at stake. But aside the prize, you can see that these are like relevant solutions for businesses. I'm sure you guys have learned 1 or 2 things. And I think after that, maybe sometime, like some weeks after, because I think the judges have been through a lot. We have put them through a lot, and the sponsors also, and the organizers. Shout out to Seriki, shout out to Jessica. They are not able to be here presently, but they've been also assisting, and the other organizers and people who have been advising. So we are going to announce the winners today. And we are going to be presenting their prizes. So please, all participants should also stick around. I'm sure that we want to know the winners also, please. So thank you guys very much for engaging us. Thank you for being with us. Thank you very much.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I want to do something very interesting. Yes, we've seen how all the sessions have been. We've done the enterprise panel session. So I want to do a little bit of, want to test your data skill. So if you trust your data skill, I want to drill you. So I need 3 data, if you are a data analyst, 3 data analysts, and 3 data scientists. And you have at least
2 to 3 years of experience.
2 to 3 years of experience.
Yeah. Yeah,
At
we
least
just
2 years.
finished the enterprise session, so we need 2 to 3 years of
2
experience.
to 3 years of experience, and we want to just test your skills, and you're bold, you're confident.
Yeah, you're confident of the skills you have in data analysis and data science. So one 3 male, 3 female. 3 male, 3 female. So come right up if you are sure of your skill set.
I got this hand first.
The cap. Yeah. So we have three male already. The blue jacket and the cap there. Then we need 3 female.
One.
Yeah, come up. Oh, we have more than 3.
Let me confirm. What role? Data scientist. What about you? Data analyst. Data scientist. Okay.
Analyst. So I'm sorry. We need 3.
We need 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So you're what?
So come right up.
Data analyst. Data what?
We have more than 3 now. So yeah, what? Data analyst, scientist, then. Oh wow.
Okay, I think we'll find a way to manage it.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So come right up.
All right, let's give them a round of applause. It takes
cheer
a lot
them
of
up,
confidence.
please.
It's a lot of confidence to actually want to face the crowd, to let people test your skill. Now, just to let you know, we have a recruiter that I actually want to hire from this set.
From this set, yeah.
And we'll be asking them some set of questions. Yes, we know if we had said that earlier, we'll have a lot of hands, but these guys actually trust themselves to feel like, yeah, they want to do this. So this is how we're going to do this. Let's have the data analysts come to this side and data scientists.
Okay, and data scientists come here. Please clap for them, yeah.
Our time is really, really short. So each one of you have just 2 minutes. Now, how will be handling the data analyst, and my friend, Blessing, will be handling the data scientist. And this is what we're going to do. Now, each one of you, you tell us, everyone, one project you work on that is exciting to you. You tell us the what, the why, and you also tell us one technical challenge that you face about that project, and what you would have done better now if you had to do the project again.
Yeah. So to repeat again, the what, the why, and connect it to the how. So tell us how you did the project, technical challenges you faced, and how you think you would solve them right now. So you have 2 minutes. Any project, any technical project.
You choose your project.
Yeah, any technical project.
Who want to go first? All right.
Good morning, my name is Obinaze Daniel, and I'm a data analyst. One interesting project I worked on was, I worked on real housing data in Lagos State. Why did I work on it? For the past 3 years, I and my family have moved twice. We're in the process of moving again. So basically, the process of moving from one area to another, dealing with agents, has been very, very frustrating. I feel like everybody that stays in Lagos can relate to the mess that is the Lagos renting scene here. So basically, we are moving now, and I realized that if I, who have spent a lot of time, my entire life basically in Lagos, how would it be for somebody who wants to move into Lagos from another state? Is there any background knowledge? Is there any saying, or everybody just goes with the flow, so that, oh, Lekki is more expensive because that's what he says, that's what he said, that's what he thinks. But people coming outside, where can they get facts from? What facts can they get that, okay, this is proof that Lekki houses are more expensive, houses in more areas are more expensive, basically. So why this was that I scraped data from a real housing data set, real housing websites, Property Pro. I cleaned it, I did analysis on it, and I carried out some statistical analysis on the prices, and I did hypothesis testing on it. I realized that I confirmed with a 95% confidence level rather, that the prices of rents in Lagos depends on the number of rooms, the locations. Sorry, can I?
You have 30 seconds.
So basically, yeah, I did analysis on the renting of the data sets. It was very, very interesting to me, and yeah, that's just about it.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to come to the data science guys. Same, you introduce yourself, tell us the technical project you've worked on, the what, the why, and the how in 2 minutes.
Good everyone. My name is Ejolonu Benedict. I'm a data scientist. So a very interesting project I worked on was medical image classification. And so the what, I was trying to find out, okay, this is probably the why. So what the problem is I realized that most medical images were saved in RBG channel of 3, right? Those are colored images. So I was asking, I wanted to be sure, can we still achieve the same level of classification accuracy with colored medical images if we were to make a transformation on those images into one RBG channel, which is just grayscale, right? So that was basically the what. So the how did I go about it? I took a whole lot of medical image. Obviously, they were open source. I didn't steal any hospital image or anything. All right, so, and I did a transformation. I converted each medical colored image to black and white to grayscale, and realized something really important, or something really key. Converting from RBG channel 3 to 1, which is grayscale, reduced the size, the whole data storage size by close to 50%. And so this was a good indication. If we're able to achieve the same or probably a better classification accuracy for grayscale images, isn't it a better
you have 30 seconds.
Right, isn't it a better saving option for medical practitioners? I mean, you get to save space, and also I did the analysis. I built my convolutional neural network from scratch. I didn't want to use any of the fancy guys because it was pretty a straightforward data set, and we were able to achieve similar accuracy with colored images. So I really think that's a key contribution. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so I'll go to the, so we want to go next from data analyst guys.
Good day, everyone. My name is Coach Konyobuchi. So a data set I worked on was a marketing campaign, and it was a series of campaigns carried out on a particular set of customers of a business. And so the idea of this, or the problem I was trying to solve from this, was to look at the campaigns that have been carried out so far and check whether I could see patterns to why some campaigns are successful and why some are unsuccessful. And during this, so I went through the data wrangling processes. I looked at the data, and I noticed some duplicates. I had to remove them. It was kind of hard to notice the duplicates because of they had the same things in some rows, but they didn't have the same values. And so I had to look at those. And after I did that, I looked at various segments. So I looked at gender. How does gender affect the campaign? How does the channel of the campaign affect the campaign itself? And I also looked at the age. How does the age affect the campaign? And from this, I was able to gather some interesting fact of how middle-aged people are more likely to respond positively to a campaign, and other interesting facts. And also in the process, I also looked at the channels that we can use for the campaigns, and you see that when you use the social media, it's more effective. A challenge that I observed was during this process was the campaigns didn't really have much information about them, because if I had much information about them, I would have been able to make effective conclusions. So thank you very much.
Yeah, please cheer them up. They are doing a live interview right now. Cheer them up, please. So data science.
Good everyone. My name is Ambrose. One of the projects I worked on was creating a text-to-speech algorithm for the Yoruba language, and that is the word. So the word of it was a text-to-speech algorithm for the Yoruba language. And the how I went about it was I made use of NVIDIA Taku-Transform model. It is like just an encoder-decoder stuff.
Sorry, can you?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So the how was I made use of NVIDIA Taku-Transform model. Yeah, and it is kind of encoder-decoder kind of RNN network. Yeah. So how I went about it was Google has this open source language data sets, audio and text pair. So OpenSLR. Yeah. So OpenSLR data set was what I made use of to train my Yoruba model. So it has Yoruba audio and Yoruba text. So I just I put in the Yoruba audio and text into the NVIDIA Taku-Transform model. Although it was trained already, I had to fine-tune it. So I fine-tuned the model on the Yoruba audio and text, and then I was able to create an algorithm that creates text. From the text, if you input a text, it gives you the Yoruba audio of it. And it had a convincing audio DM with respect to what they do initially of concatenating each phoneme. Yeah. So what, how, and why. So why I did that was because Nigeria is part of those groups they call underrepresented people in AI. So the Nigerian language, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, FET, so these languages are underrepresented. So the goal was to make Nigeria in the forefront of AI, which is my goal actually, to make Nigerian languages in the forefront of AI and to bring Nigeria into the AI community. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Chinemere Mujinkeya. There are 3 key factors that affect growth: products, branding and marketing, and retention. And a key part for branding and marketing and retention is understanding the customer segments that you are working with and you want to reach, which was what influenced my analysis of marketing data to segment these customers' data and be able to target specific segments with marketing campaigns. So there are 2 approaches I used to segment this data. I used RFM analysis and I used location. And when I try to understand the location, I combined it with a number of different factors. That way you're able to understand the behaviors of the people in specific locations and target specific people even in those locations based on those behaviors. A key technical issue that I faced when working on this data was that it was aggregated for each customer. So for each customer you had the different fields for each customer, but then I wanted to understand and aggregate this data rather for each country and each category in a variable. So it was a very tricky for loop, and actually I've been thinking of looking better into how to optimize it, because if you're scaling this up and then using it for data with a larger number of rows, I don't think it would be like the most efficient process. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello, my name is Iremide. So I worked on a animal classification system, and the reason why I worked on it was I worked on it with a team during the time of animal awareness because of the number of animals that are going into extinction. And what I used the TensorFlow. I used transfer to accurately show that this is a particular type of animal. We wanted like almost 100% accuracy, and for my project, because I used transfer learning, I was able to get 0.991 accuracy for my model, the model I use. And yeah, just wanted it to be, because a lot of people have been doing the normal, trying to get animal classification, but just wanted to increase the accuracy of the model.
From Twitter, and I analyzed the data, and I saw that there was still like a lot of buzz around Big Brother based on the data. And then I noticed that actually Twitter had an influence of who was going to win Big Brother. Because of my analysis, I saw that, okay, Fina, Brian, and Bella, and a few other people were like the top 5 people that people were tweeting about. And luckily, I didn't even know. On the day that the winner was there, Fina won Big Brother Nigeria. So I was like, okay, so there are a lot of tweets about Fina, a lot of tweets about Brian, and he was the second person. So I know that, okay, there's some influence to this, to where like, yeah, people that supported them were coming from. So one of the challenges I faced was that because of the volume of data I collected like millions of data. I had to use TextBlob to do my to do the data science part of to do the analysis part. Initially, I wanted to use Transformers by Hugging Face to do my Twitter sentiment analysis, but the data was so much, it took like hours to run on Colab. But after researching, I saw that, okay, I could build a data pipeline to do the sentiment analysis, but I had no idea of what it was at that moment. But I did my research and I was like, okay, this is a better way to approach any sentiment analysis I want to do that. I had like millions of rows of data. I could build a data pipeline, do sentiment analysis for a very small.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, so I think one thing we can all learn for enthusiasts out there who are still learning is, as much as possible, don't just take tutorials, work on interesting projects. I think there was like a banter on LinkedIn that says that Iris dataset should be banned, or Titanic dataset should be banned for anything portfolio. So projects, and you want to talk about a project that is really you did a lot of work to actually work on that project. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please clap for them. They just went through a live interview right now. Clap for them. Thank you.
Oh. DataFest. DataFest. Are we having a good time?
I'm sure it's been fun, right? Amazing. All right, so without further ado, we'll go straight to the next item on our agenda. So we have representatives from Cartwig and Dell who will be giving us a lightning talk. All right, so I'm going to welcome Dima and Karen. Dima is a partner, while Karen Chukwu is the managing partner. Please, let's clap for them as they come up. So as they come up, I think let me just read what Cartwig and Dell is all about. So it's an organization, an African law firm located in Nigeria that is focused on assisting individuals and organizations to thrive in the ever-changing technological and digital.
Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we stand on existing protocols. Yes, I know some of you are wondering what are lawyers doing in the tech space. I mean, every industry needs legal support. Once again, like he rightly said, we are Cartwig and Dale, an African tech law firm. Lois is here, the third partner. Yeah, she's right at the back.
You probably can't see her because she's, Well, yeah.
That's Lois over there. So we are a women-led African tech law firm. And we have a combined practice experience of over 25 years, both in Nigeria and in the UK. What else again? Okay, we studied information technology and intellectual property, so we didn't just delve into the tech space. We're not here to speak big grammar. We just want to have a chat, because over time, we've dealt with a lot of startups, and based on our wealth of experience, there are so many. Well, let me not say so many. There are some key issues that we highlighted, some key legal issues that startups tend to overlook, which at the end of the day are usually very detrimental to one legal oversight or the other. Everything goes down the drain. So yes, again, that is why we are here. We're happy to collaborate with the DataFest Africa community. And yes, we're here. Okay. All right. Yes, if they do not adhere to some legal needs, I mean, if they do not get legal support to execute their projects and to render their services and carry on their business transactions. Okay? We'll start with business structuring. Many a times when startups, when founders come together, what's on their mind at first is revenue, revenue, revenue. How can we generate revenue, seed capital? Where can we get funding? Who are we going to speak with? Who can refer us to VCs and all that? And then they tend to neglect their business structure. That is the first thing that needs to be done. Every business model, be it whatever, every business model has a business structure for it. So yes, you need to speak with your lawyer. You need to find out what exactly do you want to do. What's the best business structure for me? There are some startups that are registered as a business name. I mean, who does that? If you register as a business name, that means that you do not have a separate liability from your business. Something goes wrong, your debtors come after, your creditors come after. No, same slide, please. Okay, moving on. The next one is your business foundation documentation. Again, people have ideas. Next thing is to look for, come and build with me. Will you like to be my CTO? Will you like to be my project manager? Will you like to be whatever? And then they miss out the part of business documentation. We're talking about the business. How will the shareholding structure be? Who is going to own what? Who is going to do what? And all of that. What number of share capital will the business have and all? These things are things that we tend to overlook. But again, situations happen, things may go south, and then it becomes, but I told you, Karen. Karen will say, no, but I said that time, and I did not say, and I did not say. When it comes to he said, she said.
I told you.
Yeah, but I told you that time that I want 50%. And Karen will say, but I told you that time I want 10%. I told you. So when it comes to I told you, you told me, what are you going to fall back on? But if you have all these things documented, forget about friendship. Me, Karen, and Lois, we go way back. But we have our founders' agreement from day one, so that tomorrow, I don't sleep and wake up and the work that I'm doing, let me just demand for more. Or something like that. So with documentations put in place, everybody knows what they need to do, KPIs are set, and it's very easy for you to track your records and be sure that everything is put in place. Intellectual property. I'm sure everyone is familiar with the saying that knowledge is power. In Catwick and Dale, we don't just think knowledge is power. Knowledge is revenue. If you have an idea that is not fetching you money, if you have an idea that is not bringing you the bag, what's the use of the idea? So many of us have ideas. We're afraid of pitching to investors. We're afraid of pitching to the next person. Why? We're all conversant with what usually takes place. You pitch to, let's assume Karen is an investor. I pitch to her, pitch my idea to her. She asks me questions. Then at the end of the day, Karen says, unfortunately, we won't be proceeding with this and all that. Not knowing that I have raised a competitor for myself. Tomorrow, I'm still here battling with my idea. Karen moves on, executes my idea. Perhaps maybe she has the funds, or she has the connect, or she has the businesses, or whatever it is. Many people are in that situation. They found out that their ideas are stolen and all that. What do you do about it? What if we let you know and tell you today that you can protect your ideas? You can protect information that you dish out to people. Even when you go to these VCs, when you go to pitch to them, no matter how highly placed they are, be very confident of yourself. Give them documents to sign. Give them non-disclosures. Give them confidence to safeguard your interest. The last one is my slides. The last one is do it yourself. I know, like I mentioned earlier, some people are taking notes. Some people are looking at me. Some people still have coconut heads. Tomorrow, they will go online. They will go and look for templates to download. But again, talk to your tech lawyer. Don't be like Karen. Karen has coconut head. She's the one that has coconut head among us.
I definitely do. Thank you, Dima.
You're welcome.
So because of time, I was actually going to take you through some stats. And like they said, what we do at Catwick and Dale is support, tech startups, tech-based businesses, investors within the African tech ecosystem, or the African ecosystem as it is. The reason is because, honestly or personally, I am tired of, trying to seek for grants for African nations, African businesses. I personally believe, and my partners as well believe, that Africa can sustain itself. With the kind of ideas that we have, the kind of smart talents that we have within Africa, we can definitely grow. And which is why we've decided to focus on startups and, tech-based business and investors. Anyways, Catwick and Dale is present in 3 African countries, Nigeria, Ghana, and Rwanda. We're expanding soon, fingers crossed. We'll probably close that out by December or January. Maybe it will actually be a birthday gift to me.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, we're black people, we're Africans, we're united by our culture, our dreams, and our blood, most definitely. And we're building Africa one startup at a time. So what we're going to leave you guys here with today is, I understand that this is the data community, but some of you definitely have startup ideas. Some of you work with startups. If you need advisory support, we're able to assist you at any level that you are. We don't turn down any startup, and no, we're not. Don't look at these stats and think we're just going for the big guys. We're literally going to support you from ground. That was a nice comic relief. We're definitely going to support you from ground up. So definitely follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn. You can send us an email, or you can meet us outside at our booth, and we can